deep in the heart of Texas.
We're in the business of winning.
Don't bet against me.
I don't bet anyway.
Lose your life.
What's up, Nick?
What's up, man?
All right, yo, what's good?
What's going on?
Not much. But
Wait, do those guys know each other that did that debate?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm itching for another debate, Dart.
Debate hound, man.
I love debating, man. It's so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can always. Okay,
I would love to debate another LeBron guy after I debated that one. I mean, I think I did a good job, but people brought up so many points in the comments I didn't even think of. Like, there was a great point about how after LeBron left all those teams, they weren't as good, right? And someone brought up how, like, on the Cavs when he left, like 7 other players left. When he left the Heat, like 9 other players left. Like, stuff that I didn't even really understand or realize at the time.
Yeah, when you do debates, I mean, I haven't done as many as you have. I've only done a couple, but when I do debates, I don't really write anything down or maybe try to have like a certain point or a thing I want to say. I go over what the other person is saying because a lot of times, like you said, maybe you forget to say something because, you went down a different path.
Yeah.
I debated that one guy, Tim, about Magic Johnson, and we literally just went down a path about winning. That's what we were talking about. And it really didn't have anything to do with stats or accolades. We really didn't mention that kind of things. It was mostly about who was the better winner, Michael Jordan in clutch time, things like that. Because that's just where the debate went, So if there were some points that I wanted to make, sometimes you don't even get a chance to.
Yeah, that's why a little secret is that's why I like to go first, because you can set the tone of like what you're gonna talk about, and I feel like I'm pretty good at like I'm gonna put out this and this, and I'm gonna see if I can't string them along and have them go down the angle I want to go, and I'm really prepared for that debate. But yeah, like you're right. If you go second, it's in my opinion, it's definitely harder, like because you have to answer what that guy says and then get your points out.
Right. Yeah.
I thought I sent out. Well, I guess I did send out the StreamYard link because you got in here, Robin. But the everyone's like, "Where's the StreamYard link?"
Yeah, I used the old one you had, thinking maybe it would just be the same, but it didn't work.
Well, I think it's because you probably have a couple threads on there after that.
Yeah. What's up, Rex?
I haven't got my shirt yet either, man.
No, this guy's got the shirt on.
So I gotta be fair. I was being a little cheap with the shirt because it was like $5 extra to put the subscribe part on the back.
Yeah.
Y'all think the subscribe part would look better on the back versus right over the belly?
I don't know. I guess it lets people know it's a YouTube channel, though.
Yeah.
I got your mug in the background here.
Okay, you got the mug.
Yeah, I got the mug.
Nice.
Well, I was actually going to put Space Jam on the television and move my chair so you could be watching Space Jam behind me, but it wasn't. It wasn't coming on the camera right. The glare, you really couldn't see it. So.
Yeah. Oh shit! I'm trying to send the shit to OG. The StreamYard link. I know that Judge is late every time, so I'm not really worried about it.
Yeah, what's up with Judge? Judge, man, he's always late, man. I think what we need to do is make the time for like 10 or 15 minutes prior. So like 11:45 instead of 12. And then maybe people show up on time.
Yeah.
Schedule it for 12:10 every Sunday.
Yeah. That way you could start at 12:30.
Yeah. What was it Coach Coughlin of the Giants used to say? If you're 5 minutes early, you're late.
Oh yeah.
For the team meeting. Yeah.
Exactly.
15 minutes prior to the 15 minutes prior. to the 15 minutes prior.
Well, I was last minute because I didn't realize my daughter took her laptop up to Camp Lejeune with her. So I grabbed a laptop, which was my wife's, thinking it was hers, and I couldn't get my email on it. I couldn't get it set up. So I had to revert to my phone at the last second.
Yeah.
The trusty phone.
So I don't have the shirt yet. Obviously, I'd be wearing it. But how do you like the shirt, Rex?
Yeah. Well, I got to wash it about 150 times to thin it out a little bit because it's August in coastal North Carolina. But other than that, it's like 80-something% humidity and 90-something degrees here. So, yeah.
Does it feel comfortable though?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's good.
Yep.
What's up, OG?
What is
OG, what up?
I decided and thought it best I put a shirt on for you so I didn't make you all laugh and blind you.
Yeah, it is funny just seeing you lay there and just like
Yeah.
Sometimes the angle is just not very flattering. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But
Oh, you can't see it. I hope you don't mind. You can't see it, but I put a Universe Galaxy logo on the back. You don't mind, do you?
Oh my God.
Speaking of him, I went on his because he's accepting calls now.
Yeah.
So,
I've been trolling him a
I
little bit
didn't know
lately.
that. I gotta go back. I gotta go back. I stopped when he stopped accepting calls. So, and of course it's, someone's fault right up here that
Hey
he
man,
stopped
I'm just
taking
here.
calls.
I'm just here working for the basketball community to bring truth to everyone. Yeah, he hears my voice, he immediately mutes me and won't talk to me.
but I went on his show and I used my voice changer. So I was talking like I don't know what voice it was. I just kept pressing the button like every 3 minutes so it would change. And then eventually he's like, "Is this Dart?" And I just admitted it. I'm like, "Yeah, it's me."
That's funny.
And he's like, "Oh, I can't
What is
believe."
wrong with you guys, man?
I love trolling that guy, dude. He gets so worked up.
And then he's like, "You're a traitor." And he's like, "Don't ever come back here." I'm like, I don't even know what I did other than like let Nick on my show. That's all.
You
I
disagreed
ever did.
with him, so he hates you. That's all it is.
Well, I still agree with him, but just like my political beliefs, I'm a staunch conservative, but I surround myself with all liberals. All of my friends, my family, they're all liberals. It's fine. You talk, you hear other points of view, other perspectives. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean nothing in the end.
He really does
So
get
I'm
worked up. It's
on
crazy.
here with you because you're really good guys, but I still think Michael Jordan fans are the worst sports fans. But see, people always equate that with me hating Michael Jordan, and I don't.
How are Michael Jordan's fans the worst sports fans? Has Michael Jordan's fans ever trampled people in an arena like soccer fans have, trampled people to death? I don't remember Michael Jordan fans ever killing people. So when we say about fans, it doesn't make any sense. You guys are hilarious with that nonsense.
I
Okay,
think.
first of all, no.
Go ahead.
Two things. First of all, I said that very thing on UG's live chat, saying, well, when you say the worst ever, it's not like soccer hooligans. But those are not fans. Those are criminals. I'm talking
really?
about fandom.
Oh, okay.
Fandom.
Let's think about this then real quick then. Real quick. So we're talking about fandom once again. So I'm pretty sure there have been some people who have killed their celebrity crushes. You ever heard of Selena?
That is
You heard
the
of
criminal, not a fan.
Nah,
Look, if
man,
you're
those
going to
are fans.
automatically take
Those
it
are
and run
fans.
it to an
Those are
extreme to
fanatics.
try and prove a
Called
point,
a
you're
fanatic.
proving my
That's
point.
what's called the fanatic. These people are fanatical.
You're proving my
Those are the
point.
worst
You're
fans of all
proving
time.
my point.
I don't want
As
my
a
fans to
Jordan
come
fan,
after
you're
me.
proving my point. You're
we
proving my
stronger
point
than
as a
Jordan?
Jordan fan. You
Are we
can't defend
stronger?
yourself. So
Are
you
we
say,
stronger
what
than-
about people that mass murder famous people? They're
I'm asking you
fans
a question. Are
because
we
you can't
stronger than
argue the
Michael
actual
Jordan?
point.
You guys, Anybody that agrees with that guy Galaxy, I've listened to him for about 5 minutes. I've seen one of his things. If you agree with anything that man has to say or person has to say, that exposes you, Rex, as what kind of person you are. You expose yourself. Think about that. You have to understand that.
I'm not exposing anything. Which channel am I on? Which channel am I on?
Worse. I know.
What shirt am I wearing?
They have the facts. People hate Michael Jordan fans because we're the only ones who speak facts. We're the only ones who tell the truth. You know why, Rex? Because the truth of the matter is only Michael Jordan fans can speak the truth and have no one to rebut anything that they say without being negative about Michael Jordan. I've never heard one person make a solid argument about Michael Jordan without being negative or bringing up some nonsensical things. That's all they have. That's why they hate Michael Jordan fans.
If I can be
Michael Jordan fans have never played basketball, you know that?
Stop it, Rex. I'll run circles around you, man. Rex, stop the nonsense, man. You're not an athlete like that. Stop it, Rex. Whenever you have to resort to that kind of stuff, that lets you know what we're talking about. That's your argument.
You're funny because you're the one you're the guy who just brought up murdering people. But when I go to the level of saying casual fans that don't even play basketball or Jordan fans, you started this garbage.
We played in a USS and a Navy League, a tournament against the USS George Washington and all the other ships in my battle group. Over 7,000 sailors participated. People who played in college basketball, etc., who played overseas. I made the all-star team on that roster, coming from the USS Normandy with 300 people on it, Rex. I got the certificate to back it up, dog. I played basketball at a high level, and I'm an athlete my whole life. Check my channel. I'll dust you in anything on the court. You're not in shape like that. Look at you, man. Come on, Rex. Stop the games, man. Stop it. Don't ever try to insult me. I never played basketball. I understand the game just as much as you do, if not better, and I played it. Don't come at me with that nonsense, man. Stop it.
I never said anything you just accused me of. I said nothing that you just accused me of, dude. None of it. None of it. When you're done ranting, we'll start the show. But you're already.
To understand the game of basketball, Rex. And if you
the whole Stephen A. thing is already being done somewhere else. You can tone it down.
You're short-sighted. Short-sighted, Rex.
If I would say that most sports fans haven't played the sport that they cheer in past high school. That's just averages. But if I had to be generous, right? The Michael Jordan fan base is so big. It is so vast that it's easy to like what Tug does. It's easy to pull these one-offs. It's easy to pull these one-offs where you can find some guy and be like, oh, that guy doesn't know anything about basketball. Like, when you have so many people to pull from, it's not hard to find one or two that don't look the smartest, right? But that just goes to show how big his fan base is, right? How large his footprint was. It's kind of like a two-edged sword. You know what I mean?
Yes. But the vast majority of – now, we're not talking basketball fans. First of all, you're not a Jordan fan. You're a basketball fan. But I've met people all over the world. All they know about basketball, they don't play basketball. They know nothing of the sport, and they don't want to know anything about sport. But they're Jordan fans.
But that's not Jordan's fault. Like that's like you could say I'm a Messi fan. I don't know shit about soccer, but I'm a Messi fan.
Blame on Michael Jordan at all? Did I ever place blame on Michael Jordan? The casual fans, the huge expansion of casual fans in the modern age of basketball, when it went to cable, it went worldwide, the Dream Team, all the advertisement, Nike, all that stuff, has really, for lack of a better term, dumbed down the sport of basketball.
You can credit Michael Jordan for that too, though.
They actually have professional dunkers making all kinds of money because they can just do the one play in basketball that's exciting to people who know nothing about basketball. And no one actually understands X's and O's and tries to understand the game. Like all of us here have studied the game for years and years and years.
I don't know shit about soccer, but I know Pele, I know Messi, I know Ronaldo. Like, I don't know shit about soccer, but I still know who the greats are.
This is insane,
But do
man.
you know how to? But do you know? Shut up so I can talk, please. We're having a conversation. We're having a conversation. I'm trying to answer his question.
They've never been in a combat. They've never been in a war. They can't be gun fans. They shouldn't be shooting guns.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I'm saying.
Thing. You don't make any sense, Rex. You make no sense, man. What are you talking about?
You're like holding it against. You're holding it against him how popular he is. I don't think that's quite fair.
If you shut your mouth, I'd explain it. Are you going to shut up?
That's like saying in the 80s.
You're talking about Nike and shoe deals and all kinds of nonsense, man.
In the 80s, everyone was a Laker or Celtics fan, but the majority of them don't know shit about basketball, though, you know?
Okay, yeah.
Man. Michael Jordan was playing 82 games, giving his heart and soul on the court, busting his ass. He set an example for the other players to follow. It's not his fault when all these guys are doing 30 years later. Are you kidding me?
Did anybody say it was his fault?
Yo, let's talk about the top 5 passes.
No, there's just kind of the law of averages.
Because you obviously have no common sense to have this discussion.
Man. You are gone.
But NMB.
Are you taping this?
NMB.
NMB. I hope you're taping this. Is this like the B-roll? The B-roll film? Roll back the B-roll, man. This guy's saying some dumb things out here. He's talking about Nike and stuff, man. Get out of here.
Okay. Next week, let's have an IQ test.
Let's talk about Converse, man.
I will throw your ass out of the water.
The games back when Bill Russell was playing. Converse had all the games rigged. It was Converse's fault. Get out of here, man.
What are you talking about? Dude, are you done?
Exactly.
Can I respond to NMB? Can I respond? You mentioned how you knew the top soccer players, but you really don't know anything about the sport. That's what you said, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you got in a conversation with diehard, lifelong football fans about the sport and the strategies of the sport and the intricacies and the history of the sport.
Before you go any further,
would they not consider you a casual?
Wouldn't you say that most diehard basketball fans are also Jordan fans, though? I would. I mean, even Tuggs admitted that most basketball fans, actual fans, are Jordan fans. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Let's get to the passers, man. We could do this all day. we could do this all day.
Y'all, especially this guy up here, loves throwing words in my mouth that I never, ever said.
Dart's trying to get on a schedule and get these streams over and done with.
Why don't you respond to what I said about the military and the weapons and the combat scenario? Why don't you respond to that? The same thing, man.
Because I didn't listen to a thing you said. What'd you say? What about the military?
Dart's on a schedule, y'all. Let's go.
You can choose what to respond to.
Dart's on a schedule. Let's go.
Like a typical person that you would be.
Dart's on a schedule. Let's go.
My goodness. I can't wait to hear who his #1 passer of all time is. Sweetwater Lou from back in '62, right? Can't wait to hear it.
All right, let's go. Come on.
Tell me the stories, Rex.
Let Dart start the stream. Let Dart start the stream.
I would just love silence from you. You need to just shut up.
Let's go, Rex. It's me and you, Rex. Welcome back.
It ain't me and you in anything. It ain't me and you in anything, dude.
All right, let's go. Let's go. Let Dart start it. Dart.
That is true. I do smoke you on here. You getting smoked out here.
Come on.
This.
Roll back the B-roll, Rex. Roll back the tape. Roll it back.
All right, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start it. Nice. Everyone's all nice and riled up. What's up, Judge? Just before we start.
Big Judge.
I was out the heat. I'm sorry, guys. You know what I mean? I came back. I see like a melee.
It's cutthroat in here.
All I hear is the military.
I'm a dissil veteran from the Marine Corps, so I don't even know what he's talking about military.
How y'all doing, my man?
Doing great. I'm going to start the live stream before it gets back into that. But welcome back, sir.
No Kool-Aid today.
Nice. All right, I'm going to start it. Start it now. All right. We are live with Michael Jordan Fans Are the Best, and we have just had an intense backstage conversation. And I think this is going to get ready for the top 5 passers of all time. I want to welcome back Judge SP up here. It's been back for the first time. How you doing today, sir?
I'm on it, bro. I'm all over it.
Nice.
How you doing, bro? How are you?
I'm doing absolutely fabulous. I'm ready to get the crew back together, see who's going to win the next trivia championship as well.
What is that? What are you wearing?
Me?
What are you wearing?
Or me? I'm wearing a Sixers jersey.
Whose number is that?
It's Drew Holiday's
Ask
number.
him.
Wow.
Drew Holiday. Yeah.
Don't ask him.
Yep. So about 10 years old, a little bit more than that.
I thought it was a James Harden jersey. That's why, just making sure.
Oh no, yeah, he's not really my guy, but
I thought it was a Clement Johnson jersey.
with that said, Rex, how you been? Welcome back.
I've been all right.
I see that you're sporting the MJFB shirt. Thank you for wearing
Yes, I am. The original, the first, right there.
it. Yep. You're the first person to get the shirt even before me. So mine is being ordered as well.
Isn't that ironic?
Yep. Sports and Fitness Rants, Robin, how you doing? You hear me?
Yo, I'm doing great, man. Good to see all you guys again, man. I'm glad the crew is back, man. Let's do it.
OG Garfield, welcome back. How are you, sir?
You guys heard me?
Yep, I heard you. Yep. Lima Charlie, as they say. What's up?
How are you all doing today? I'm so glad to be here. I'm looking forward to spirited action.
Nice. And the inaugural Ultimate Trivia Champion NNB Sports. How are you today?
Doing good, man. Glad to be here as always. Waiting on my shirt still. I can't wait to get it. I love merch.
I see my the channel's cup is in the background as well.
That's right here. Right there.
Nice. Yeah, please tell me how you like it and how it keeps the coffee warm.
Absolutely.
For everybody, we're gonna be talking about top 5 passers of all time. We're gonna do a little bit different today. So everyone will be saying their list first, and then we'll go around the horn just so that we don't have to go over the same things over and over again. So since you haven't been here in a while, Judge, what is your top 5 passers of all time? Can't hear you.
You guys want it in order, or is that too much? Is that too much energy on Sunday?
Up to you.
Oh, let's do it in order.
Robin, you're doing yours in order. Garfield, you guys doing your?
Yeah, I'm going in order from 5 to 1.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right. So there's a lot of passers in this NBA thing. I don't want to leave out too many guys. There's so many small guys in the NBA who've been passing the rock for decades and decades. I don't have Bob Cousy on my list, but he could have been on my list. But my list is real cool. It's real easy. I'll get into my order later on, but I got John Stockton on my list. I got Chris Paul on my list. I got Magic Johnson on my list. I got Jason Kidd on my list. And last but not least, and I'll tell you why he's my top 3, I have Isaiah Lord Thomas on my list.
All right.
Dirk Nowitzki disrespected again.
You haven't heard my list yet.
No, but I had some honorable mentions. I was thinking about Andre Miller, Mark Jackson, Rajon Rondo, Steve Nash, but that's my list.
All right. We'll come back to your list, and we'll have everybody. We'll let you talk about your list out after everybody talks about theirs or lists them off. and then we'll get into conversations as that goes. We'll have it more free flow versus everybody talking about it. And for the players that are repeats, I guess we could all just talk about them in mass. That way we don't, it doesn't become another 5-hour stream, because my wife doesn't like that. So Rex, what is your list?
Okay, well, like you were thinking, I didn't include a lot of the obvious ones because I thought it would just be a whole lot of repetition. So I went a little bit different. I do have Magic,
All right.
Scott Skiles, Bill Russell, Lenny Wilkins, and top of my list, Kevin Porter. I'll explain all later.
All right. Do you have any honorable mentions?
I mean, really, you can just, for honorable mention, you can just do the usuals with Oscar and Nash and Paul and Kuzi. And like I said, I wanted to look at different names, people that aren't as recognized, but if you actually go through what they achieved, they're really right there as just passers. Maybe not overall basketball players, but as passers.
Yeah. All right. Robin, what is your list?
Yeah, man. So like you guys were saying, this is not greatest point guards of all time. So let's make that clear for the audience out there. This is the greatest passers, man, right? The greatest passers. So for me, I picked all 5 guys that I actually watched with my own eyes growing up. These guys I watched play the game, right? I actually grew up watching these guys. And to me, you had to have a little bit of the flair. You had to have a little bit of pizzazz in there to be in my top 5 of passers. I'm not talking about just guys who can make every pass or that have the basic fundamental passes. I'm talking about guys that were doing the flair. So I went at number 5. I went with Jason Williams, man. White chocolate, man. I went with Jason Williams at number 5, man. To me, he has some of the illest passes out there. He was one of the, just a real showman out there on the court, man. Jason Williams, man. Then I went with John Stockton at number 4, man. John Stockton, to me, man, he wasn't flashy per se, but the man could make literally every pass. The outlet passes of John Stockton are one of the most underrated aspects of his game. He can outlet those balls to Karl Malone, and it was like a wide receiver catching them things. Then I went with Mark Jackson, man. Dre, Judge, you mentioned Mark Jackson, your honorable mentions, man. To me, he's the 3rd greatest passer, man. That dude's passes, Mark Jackson, man, that dude's skills are underrated. He was funky out there. His passes from New York City, he had a flair to him, man. Mark Jackson, the last rookie of the year for the New York Knicks. Number 2, Jason Kidd, man. Jason Kidd, to me, if it wasn't for Magic Johnson, Jason Kidd would be the greatest passer I ever saw in my eyes play. Jason Kidd was throwing 3/4 court alley-oop passes to guys like Vince Carter, Richard Jefferson. People forget about Jason Kidd with the blonde hair on the Phoenix Suns. The dude was just spectacular passing the ball, man. And obviously, number 1 is Magic Johnson, man. No one was as fancy or flashy as Magic, man. Nothing else like that.
All right. Do you have any honorable mentions?
Flashy as Magic, man. Nothing else. Honorable mention, Kevin Johnson from the Phoenix Suns. Kevin Johnson, KJ, who should be in the Hall of Fame, in my opinion. And Larry Bird, man. Larry Bird's passes were disgusting. Oh, my God, Larry Bird. People don't understand. This man was I think Larry Bird is the master of the back pass like that, the over-the-back double-handed shovel pass. I never seen no one do it so consistently in my life. Larry Bird.
All right. OG, what is your list?
I went a little different on how I did my list. I just kind of basically went in the decades, no real, list, from 5 to 1 going up and stuff. Started out for basically the 60s was Bob Cousy, Wizard of Westwood or Wizard of the Hardwood, and everything. 70s was Oscar Robertson. And then I did a duel with the 80s, like Robin was saying, or whatever, Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. The two of them, you just, synonymous with just greatness all around. And then 90s, I had, like Jason Kidd a little bit in there and stuff. In 2000s, Jason Williams, white chocolate. you have a name of white chocolate. You should be able to pass the ball. You know, and most of you all know whatever, you know, he started out being pretty flashy and like that by passing to some fella named Randy Moss when he was in high school.
Yeah.
So
at Marshall also.
Yep, and at Marshall.
Marshall University, West Virginia.
Yep. So, you know, that's kind of mine. And then honorable mention, of course, you know, Stockton, Kidd, Nash. You know, I like those fellers. That's basically my list.
All right. Ultimate Trivia Champion, Nick. What is your list?
Yeah, so the way I looked at this was guys who could pass first and dominate with just passing. So, like Judge had mentioned, Chris Paul. Like, to me, I'm not going to talk too long, but for me, like, Chris Paul was kind of an offensive first scoring guard who could also pass. Still a great passer, but Chris Paul's like passing, I feel, sort of played off of his offensive game, right? And so I was trying to think of guys who could simply, if they wanted to, just pass and distribute. And so at number 5, I got Jason Williams. Number 4, I got Kidd. 3, I got Bird. 2, I have Magic. And 1, I have Nash. And then my honorable mentions were Oscar, Stockton, and Kuzi. Stockton, I feel like playing with Malone, you know, it is what it is, right? He's a great passer, but I do feel like that inflates his assist just a little bit. They ran so much pick and roll, and he got so many of those assists to Malone, which he still gets credit for, but that just kind of barely ticked him off my my top 5. But that's my top 5 and my honorable mentions.
Amazing. For my top 5, it was kind of similar to OG's. So mine, I'm just going to do it by decade. I'll do it in order later like Judge. But for the 50s and 60s, I got to go with Bob Cousy. Bob Cousy, I don't know if you've ever seen highlight films of him, and I mean, you could just hear word of mouth that he was really the originator of the flashy pass. And it's crazy to see. I mean, some of that stuff, you know, would be awful, or not awful, but like awesome, awesome in today's NBA, just behind the back passes, over the head passes, like Robin was saying with Larry Bird. The guy was a flashy passer. Number 4, some guy I haven't heard, which I'm kind of surprised. I thought that Rex might have mentioned him, Pete Maravich. Pete Maravich, amazing passer. On YouTube particularly, I see the old school. I know one of the more famous ones is the wrist pass that he did, where he's pointing at one guy and then he just passes behind him more or less. And then just watching him, you know, that fancy one where he goes like that, he's just like whirling his hands around some of his most famous passes. For the 80s, I had to pick Larry Bird over Magic Johnson. However, Magic Johnson is honorable mention, and I'll explain why in a minute. Number 2, I got to say Jason Williams for the 2000s, primarily in the 90s, kind of that overlap period, because I mean we all talked about him. He was absolutely ridiculous. And number 1 for the more modern era, I got to say Nikola Jokic, which I'm surprised he's still playing, so I understand why he's not on the list. However, I mean, that guy can pass the ball. Honorable mention. I see Robin's got an issue with it. Honorable mention, Magic Johnson. I think he's got the greatest bounce outlet pass of all time, getting the rebound and just throwing it down. And I mean, like, if you go and you look at his highlights, most of it is just him throwing it one arm bounce pass, just like this, just throwing it from the other side of the court. I mean, he's got some flashy passes otherwise, but it seemed like, you know, especially watching all those highlights, it seems like that was his kind of go-to move.
That hook pass.
I'm sorry?
That hook pass where he used his height to just hook it around the defender. So actually he was playing.
Kind of losing you a little bit, Rex, but
Rex,
I
no!
heard hook pass. I hope you're still there. If not, come back. And then Bill Russell is my last one. Again, same with Magic Johnson. Just a great outlet passer, getting the rebound. and passing it up court. And the fast break on a sidebar, I think the fast break offense is storied as the best offense of all time, but that's just my personal opinion. I guess let's start with trivia. I think this is a good one. If you're in the comments, I saw somebody put this up. Michael says Stockton, Magic, Oscar, Kidd, and Nash. If you're in the audience, please put your top 5 passers of all time so you can share it with the audience, and please participate in the trivia. I will mark down that you've been participating, and if you go and you score much, maybe you might get a free piece of merch. Anyway, the first trivia question is, how many years in a row did John Stockton win the assist title for assists per game per season?
I was thinking of steals.
You just blurt it out, or
We'll do it in order. We'll start with Judge, and then we'll go to you, Rex, and then Robin. Judge says 4. Rex, what do you say?
9.
9. Rex says 9. Robin, what do you say?
You said assist per game?
Yes, to win for a season, the most assists per game for a season. How many times did John Stockton win in a row for to be the assists per game leader of a season?
Yeah, I'm gonna say 9.
9. OG, what do you say?
Well, I've heard 2 numbers that I was gonna take and such, so I'm just gonna split it kind of down the middle. Lucky number 7.
All right, 7.
Yeah, Rex said 9 with some confidence. I'll go 8.
All right. If you're in the audience, Ren Sports, or Michael says 6 for how many he thinks Nash won in a row. Ren Sports, welcome Ren Sports. Nash, white, chocolate. Sorry, I thought it was 2 separate words. I read it like Ron Burgundy. Kidd, Bird, and Kuzi.
Wow, Ren that's my buddy. He put Kuzi on his top 5 passing list. He usually dogs the past eras, so I'm a little surprised to see that.
All right. I'll give you all a second in the who are watching. If you want to share your top 5 passers of all time and who you think, or what do you think the answers for the trivia question? How many times did John Stockton win the assist per game title per season in a row? And give a second for that. And somebody got the answer correct. The answer is 9. Judge.
I figured Rex knew
and
it.
Rex. It's not Judge, excuse me. I'm sorry. Robin and Rex both got the answer correct with 9. It's crazy to think that's the longest streak ever in NBA history. 9 assist titles in a row, which is absolutely
insane.
Well, it's also the most assist titles in the row. I mean, the most assist titles overall, and he did them on a run.
Yep.
Once he hit top speed.
What's crazy though is I was looking at steals the other day, and he's all-time leader in steals, but he only won the steals season leader twice, which was kind of interesting.
Just insanely consistent.
See, I knew I should have stuck with my initial.
There were other great steal guys out there in that league.
Yeah.
If you average out Jordan's career, he would have been won by a good margin, but that's a what if. But yeah.
All right, so Judge, Judge, I know you said you had a little bit more to say about your list and you wanted to put it in order. So what is your order, and do you want to describe more about your list before we go around the panel where they just openly talk about your list?
Right. So Robin was saying something earlier about not necessarily the best point guards, but the best passers, which I thought about because I was looking at Larry Bird. You know, even though he's 6'9", 6'10", he could pass the rock. There's a lot of guys who could pass the ball. Somebody mentioned Nikola Jokic, yeah, but it's a big list, and I had to have some criteria and how to like fine tune my list. So I had to look at things like inflated stats. It's why John Stockton's not number one on my list. He just cracked. Yeah, he just cracked my top five. He just cracked my top five because I had to look at like who are you passing the ball to, right? Who are you passing to because in order to get the assist, you got to pass the ball to someone who can score. And some guys never had these amazing scores on their team, yet they're getting all these assists. And I had to look at turnover. I looked at turnovers, like your ability to make. That's why White Chocolate's not on my list because he's a flashy passer. But what was the rate that he was able to execute the pass? If anyone is honest about White Chocolate, even though he has some amazing passes, he also has a blooper reel. So I took that into effect. I'm like, okay, he makes passes, but sometimes they go into the stands, and the coach would put him on the bench. So I said, okay, he can't be on my list, even though I like it. Pete Maravich is there. I looked at turnovers. I looked at who you're passing the ball to, right? And how much guys were on your team. And that's where I had to put Isaiah Thomas high on my list. Oh, and I also went into like how many games played, what kind of system you're running. For example, if you do your research, you look in the 80s and the 90s, not a lot of teams were running pick and roll basketball. Pick and roll basketball really came into effect when Michael Jordan left the game. More teams went into that style of play, and a lot of teams weren't even equipped to defend the pick and roll. I felt John Stockton, you look at his numbers, it's like in the high 60s, how much percentage of his passes, his assists, because an assist is you got to score to get the assist. They're going to Karl Malone. And then you look at similar duels, and they don't have those numbers. Second of all, this guy was running pick and roll, so I said to say, what would he have been without the pick and roll? What would he have been without Karl Malone? I don't think he's going to go from 13, 14 assists to 7, but I don't see him getting like 12 assists. So I had him low. So I was kind of objective with my stats and looking at, and I also got into usage rates. And I said, how could this guy have a usage rate of 18%, but he has like 14 assists? Something's wrong. So I said, okay, I think he's a system player.
Okay. What in no particular order, if anybody wants to comment on Judge's list and his reasoning, please go for it.
No, I don't understand the reasoning completely, because all I ever hear when people slam John Stockton is, well, he passed to Malone. Okay, well, there's one guy that at that point in history that had scored more than Malone, and that was Kareem, and that's who Magic was passing to, as well as 3 other #1 overall picks that the Lakers had in the 80s. But no one ever slams Magic for passing to these amazing scores. They only slam Stockton. And I never understood that. And the second part is when you're like Stock in the pick and roll offense, and you're always running the pick and roll, that doesn't create more assists. That would actually limit your assists, because everyone in the building knew who was passing the ball to who, and the other team still couldn't stop it. That adds to your greatness, not detracts. When everyone knows that the little 6'1" dude is coming down to the elbow and he's passing to the 6'9" guy in the post and he's going to score it, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. No one stopped Stockton from making those passes, yet and everyone knew that pass was coming, and no one could stop him. That makes him better, not less.
That's not how I feel, brother. I feel maybe that's a conversation you have with somebody else. I have John Stockton top 5 in my all-time passers list.
Yeah.
I'm very high on John Stockton. I always tell these youngins Stockton is over Nash by times 10, by 10. So there's definitely no slamming. There's no slamming John Stockton. That's not smart to slam John Stockton. What I'm trying to do is, where do I have him ranked in my top 5? And the truth is, he played with the greatest pick and roll player of all time. Carmelo can hit you in the block. He's got a turnaround J. Carmelo at 6'9" can run the floor like LeBron James. Carmelo can hit that high screen and pop, that 18-footer. So he's the ultimate pick and roll player. John Stockton played with the ultimate pick and roll player. Let's be super clear about this. Super clear.
Yeah, if I could.
So you cannot stop it. You can't stop it. You can't stop that play.
Yeah, I was going to say, Rex, you kind of said, like, everyone knew it was coming, but they couldn't stop it. I mean, I think that speaks to what Judge just said about how great Karl Malone was. And then secondly, in terms of Magic and Kareem versus Stockton and Malone, in my opinion, right, a lot of what Kareem did was in the low block, feeding it into him, the sky hook, etc. And Magic also created on the fly, the fast break, the showtime, right? He was dumping it off to other people, creating for other people, where I think more time compared to those two players, right? I think Stockton went to Malone much more than what Magic went to Kareem. I think Kareem generated a lot of his own offense in the low block, just dumping it down to him, compared to, I don't really remember Kareem and Magic running like a pick and roll so much. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But it seems like a lot of Magic's assists were coming on the fly, and he was generating passes to other people.
Thank you.
Just saying, if I just throw a real quick one in there, you know that Steph Curry just passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on the all-time assist list. Just throwing that out there.
What is what? Are you just pointing it out?
Just pointing it out. I just read that the other day, and that kind of caught me.
This is an interesting.
And you just happened to mention the player, just mention Kareem and the give and go, and the pick and roll, and I just thought of that. It's like, yeah, Steph Curry just passed Kareem on the all-time assist list. It's just kind of interesting that Kareem had that many assists.
Because Draymond Green is the guy. That's why.
Yo, honorable mention. He's another good passer. But another thing is, the reason why I don't know why you... Wait a minute. Aren't you the one... You have Magic Johnson not on your top 5, correct?
I don't. I think...
No, Rex. No, Rex.
Yes, I did. I did have Magic.
Oh, okay. Because Magic, for me, I don't mention Magic because Magic passes the eye test. I looked at a stat when Kareem was already gone out the league and Worthy was going down. This guy Magic Johnson averaged 12 points a game. I really feel the same way how some of us on this panel, we have Jason Kidd on our list. And for all of us watch Jason Kidd, sometimes I'm saying, who's Jason Kidd passing the ball to while you're getting these many assists? Because you're not playing with an all-star. You're not playing... What?
That was only for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I'm talking about in his prime. I'm talking about when he was mashing up the league. When he was dominating the league without scoring the ball. That's what I'm talking about.
You guys have gone off the deep end here, man. We've gone off the deep end again.
How?
We've done it.
How are we in the deep end?
Yeah, we've gone off the deep end again here. We've done it. Listen, you said in your initial statement, you said that when you were thinking about passers, this is not the greatest point guards of all time, and then yet you gave a criteria for the greatest point guards of all time. You started breaking down turnovers and who the guy's playing with and assist to turnover ratios. You went into a whole thing there. We're just talking about passers, and you mentioned eye test. That should be all we need for passing. That's why I said it's the 5 guys that I watched with my own eyes, the guys I grew up watching. That's why they're on my list. I can't speak to Bob Cousy and what he did. I didn't see that much footage of Bob Cousy. Just because you have a couple highlights doesn't necessarily mean you were a wizard with the ball over a Magic Johnson or a Jason Williams. Jason Williams, yeah, he's not one of the greatest point guards of all time. I would never have him in the top 10 point guards of all time. But just pure passing ability, there's not many guys that can do what he was doing on the court, man. I mean, this is on the NBA level. He wasn't doing this in the Rucker Park. He was doing this on NBA level defense in games, embarrassing people, hitting elbow passes. I mean, come on, man. And when we talk about Jason Kidd, I mean, this guy could do everything. Now, with the John Stockton stuff you guys were talking about, John Stockton, once again, I think, like Rex was saying, he doesn't really get a lot of credit for whatever the reasons are. But John Stockton could make literally every basketball pass that you needed. And when we're talking about the pick and roll, he's putting that pass on the money to make Karl Malone or put him in a successful position to score the basketball. And when we talk about assists, back in them days, the assist, the basket had to score immediately. You couldn't dribble the ball or nothing. Now they let these guys take like 3-4 dribbles and make a move, and they still count it as an assist. So we have to be careful when we talk about assist numbers, when we talk about passing.
Yeah, there are two big changes to assists from the 60s and 70s to now, and that is the outlet pass, like what Dart was talking about with Magic. If you throw a pass from the back court to the front court for a basket, you did not get an assist. You could not get an assist from the back court. Second, when guys in the post will catch it, draw the double team, then kick it out for the jumper, you did not get an assist if you passed the ball away from the basket, even if the guy just caught and shot. You did not get an assist for that back in the 60s. The pass had to be moving towards the basket.
I didn't know that.
That's why the assist totals were so low.
Yep, always going forward, never going back.
Yes. Yeah. But you could not assist from the back court, like 3-court alley-oops or Wes Unseld grabbing a rebound and firing it down court like he used to. He never got assists for those. Those did not get an assist back then.
Oh, gee, I saw you were trying to say something. You have something to say about Judge's List or what Rex is saying?
No, that's absolutely correct with how the assists used to be tabulated stuff. My big thing with the Stockton deal is I'm more, and what I was coming up with this topic was more of the flashy. Didn't have to be an all-time great, like John Stockton was more, to me personally, more fundamental, kind of almost in a sense boring, and such, with the pick and roll and everything. I loved, the Magic Johnson, Larry Bird type of passing, where, the Showtime, moving it around, no look pass. Bob Cousy, the reason why I had him in is, granted, yes, I didn't watch him obviously live, but watching some of his highlights of him back then, dribbling it between the legs was illegal. It was classified as a double dribble. So him dribbling it around with one hand all over the place and staying and not getting it stolen, to run out the clock, and then all of a sudden or whatever, just a quick no look or whatever to one of the many Hall of Famers that Boston had during that time and stuff, and then go up for a layup. It was commented by somebody, with having Bill Russell. Bill Russell was an absolute with Red Auerbach's system, and we've talked about this on previous chats and stuff. Bill Russell would have had a lot more points scored if that's what Red Auerbach wanted. Red Auerbach wanted him to really hold down the middle, play defense, get the rebound, and outlet pass. It was always an outlet pass, almost a half court. Whatever side Bob Cousy happened to be on is where it went, and they were running. So having Bill Russell, that flashy wasn't there for me. But, like I think Robin said too, that Jason Williams, the guy could pass all over the place. Yeah, sometimes the ball went into the stands. Sometimes, there was a turnover. Oh, well. But it was fun to watch, especially during that 90s time when it was kind of almost like that hard, a high scoring game would be, somebody scored 85 points. So it was still adding that flair and flash there in that, the late 90s and starting into the 2000s. That's where I come up with some of that. It's no knock. And I should have, and I do apologize, I should have had Pete Maravich in there in the 70s, because Pete Maravich, I remember watching the documentary on him, and when he was in high school, passed the ball and drilled his teammate in the chest, and it ended up being a turnover because the teammate wasn't prepared to catch the ball to go up for a shot. But the pass was almost impossible to be able to be done as a high school kid, and he made it look like it was just routine. So a lot of, everybody's list is really, really good, but I didn't go deep dive into any of the analytics, for numbers and stuff. It was just my personal preference of great passers through the eras.
I wanted to say for Judge, one person you had on the list that I don't think anybody else had on the list, who I think was a great pick, was Isaiah Thomas. And in a way, I'm surprised that he didn't make anybody else's list. I mean, he didn't make mine, but I thought he would have shown up maybe at least on somebody else's list. And then also Chris Paul. I'm not. For me, I know a lot of people might hate me for this. I think he's probably one of the most overrated point guards of all time. I'm not saying he's bad. He is great. But I think people are like, when people say he's the best point guard of all time, I think that's just ridiculous. And I don't think he's better than Steph Curry. I mean, as a pure point guard, sure. But amongst other people, I'm not really I'm not as big of a fan as Chris Paul as a lot of people are, at least in the general public sphere of things. But I particularly think Isaiah Thomas is great. I just watched an interview recently where he said, I'm the only person, and I thought this was a great emphatic statement. He's like, I'm the only person to beat the Bulls with Michael Jordan, to beat the Celtics with Larry Bird, and to beat the Showtime Lakers. He's like, and I spanked all of them. And I was like, you know what? That's a fair statement. So I'm glad you put him on that list. Do you have any last remarks before we go into the next trivia question?
My whole thing is like, I want to play on something that Robin's saying. Like, I feel like when I saw the topic, it's asking me the greatest passes. Okay. Now, me personally, I played point guard until I got really taller, and then I became a forward. My whole thing is, in order to even get a pass, to get an assist, right? Is that what we're talking about? Someone to make a pass or to make an assist?
It's
because
whatever
it's two different things.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at it like to execute a successful pass. And in order to do that, you need to know your personnel. Am I giving the ball to the guy at a position where he can score, or am I just doing my job? Oh, I gave him the ball. Oh, he didn't score? That's not my fault. I put that kind of stuff into consideration with this list because there's a lot of guys who played this game who are amazing passers. But I had to have some criteria in order to have a top 5. Because my honorable mention list is like 10, 20 guys. Right? And that's why I don't have guys like Maravich on my list. Because the turnovers and sometimes the ball goes into the Omni Dome, whatever they play. So when Robin's saying white chocolate, I'm like, okay, I understand what you're saying. It looks really nice, but is he a good passer? Like, honest to God, bro, just execute the pass. We don't always need the flair. Just do your job. Stop trying to sell records. Stop trying to sell shoes. Stop trying to be in the commercial. Can you do it? You know why?
That's point guard play. Come on, Trey.
I'll tell you something why. I'll tell you why. Look at a boring passer. Someone like John Stockton. You think John Stockton couldn't be flashy if he didn't want to be flashy? John Stockton could have been way more flashy. He chose not to be as flashy because he's trying to win the game. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, he could not be flashy, John. Get out of here. He could not be flashy. That wasn't his game. His game, and just because they weren't quote unquote flashy, the bounce passes that he would make, those outlet passes that he would make. Are you kidding me? Some of the bounce, you know how the spin, the bounce you have to put on some of those passes? That's fancy. Those are hard passes to make. Just because he's not going behind the back necessarily or hitting it with his elbow, it doesn't mean he's not fancy, man. Listen, John Stockton could not be Magic Johnson. And Magic Johnson couldn't be John Stockton. They just weren't going to be that way.
So then who's higher, Kidder? Then who's higher, Nash or Stockton? Because I feel Nash is more flashy than Stockton. Who's a better passer to you?
Well, obviously, John Stockton to me is a better passer. When we're talking about someone like a Steve Nash, that's why John Stockton's on my top 5 passers list, because he could make every single pass. To me, Steve Nash couldn't make every pass.
Well, I think also with Nash you couldn't defend as tight because he was in the, what is it called, the 50, 40, 90 club like 4 times. I mean, he was a scorer. So you had to watch him, scoring on you as well as his passes. Where John Stockton didn't score as much, couldn't shoot as well. So he was, but I just think that they're different types of players. It's like, does anyone here have anyone other than Magic Johnson as the best point guard ever? Anyone?
Offensively speaking, I think Nash is the quintessential offensive point guard, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He had
Be quiet, Nick. Stop the nonsense, Nick.
Running an offense as a point guard, dude. I just think he could do it all. He could shoot free throws, take care, distribute. I think offensively speaking, I think he's the quintessential point guard.
Yeah, he did say offensively.
You think he's a better offensive point guard than Jason Kidd?
Nash? Hell yeah. I don't even think that was close.
Yeah, 2 of Kidd's big attributes were his defense and his rebounding from the point guard position.
Right, because if you can remember right, when he first got into the league, Jason Kidd couldn't shoot.
Yeah, and which I always thought was weird because when he came out of high school, he was the all-time leading scorer in California's high school history, but he was not a good shooter.
No
one could stop him from going to the hole. Back in high school was the issue.
Right. Yeah, and he developed that outside shot.
I'll question Steve Nash's leadership abilities. Steve Nash, to me, is not leading a team to a championship as a point guard. He's not a floor general like that to that level of a Magic Johnson, not even to an Isaiah Thomas level of a floor general. Those guys commanded the teams better than Steve. Steve Nash played with a lot of talent in his career, guys. Let's be honest about this. Now, granted, he went against some stacked teams, but he played with some talent. Yo, NNB, you better look up the rosters, dude. He played with Joe Johnson in his prime. He played with Quentin Richardson. He played with Leandro Barbosa. He played with Amari Stoudemire. He played with Boris Diaw. He played with a lot of good talented players on those teams, man. They were almost there. They couldn't get over the hump. Why is that? Because of the Matrix. That's right. Because of guys like Tony Parker, who was doing them, right? Steve Nash to me is great, but offensively, when you're saying offensively as a point guard, now you're making a niche, aspect of the game. He's not a floor general to me.
Nash always seemed to me that he carried himself as a player, not a leader.
I think Nash can manufacture offense better than Magic can. I mean, I couldn't even imagine Nash playing with James Worthy and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
What did Magic do in Game 6 as a rookie?
Steve Nash
he just took a back seat to Kareem. But Magic literally could do anything offensively. He could do hook shots. He could play any position. He could dominate you at the point guard from the outside passing in. He could post you up if you switched to a big man on him. He was just as big as the big man that switched onto him and still score.
All right.
I would put even Steve Nash on the level of someone like James Harden as an offensive point guard. I don't look at Nash like that, bro. He never did nothing. He's an underachiever, big time. He played with he had 2 on his team, 2 first-team All-NBA, and he never got it done. Sorry.
I think a lot of that is unfair, though, because he was fighting that nerve injury in his leg. For the last 2 years. If he would have been healthy in LA, I think it might have been a little bit different history there.
Nobody's healthy, bro.
Who were the other first team All NBAs? Amari and Dirk?
It was him, Amari were first team, and then the other guy was second team or third was Sean Marion that year. They should have never lost, and they lost to the Spurs.
The Spurs is like an all-time dynasty.
Wait. No, that's a
little excusable.
I was in San Antonio back then and was followed the Spurs back then. But when the problem with that wasn't that when they split open Nash's face and he had to come out of the game. He missed like 5 minutes of the most important game of the series, the deciding game of the series.
Robert Ory checked
So
him, and
that's
then
not really fair.
they suspended
They
Amari Stoudemire
busted
for
him
the
in
next
nose.
game.
They couldn't stop the bleeding. He had to leave the game.
Isaiah Thomas got his leg ripped open and scored 25 points. I don't know how we do it. You got to find a way.
No, he didn't get his leg ripped open. He sprained his ankle.
We're making excuses.
By the rules, Nash had no choice. Nash was told to leave the court because he was bleeding.
Jason Kidd, all them years in the league, he didn't get it done. But what happened? He teamed up with some other guys, and he helped them to win a championship.
Oh, come
Steve
on,
Nash,
dude. If you're
I'm
going to
not
give
saying
credit
he's
to Jason
overrated. I don't
Kidd
like
for
using that
riding
word.
Dirk's dick to a championship, come on, bro.
Wait a second.
You're talking to the guy who knows better than anybody.
Listen, let me ask you this, Nick. Listen, Nick.
He averaged like 8 and 8 when they won that year.
Who led the playoffs in assists that year? Jason Kidd led the entire playoffs in assists. The entire playoffs, Jason Kidd did that, guys. And Tyson Chandler led the entire playoffs in reboundings that season. So don't act like they wasn't helping Dirk Nowitzki.
Yeah, because they had one job. He had one job. He had one job.
Leadership.
Pass the ball. That was his only job. Pass the ball. Chandler's only job was to rebound. That was it. They had one job, one thing to focus on. Nash had to score. Nash had to pass.
Rebounds. All he had to do was score.
That's how a team works.
No, that's fine. That's fine. But I'm just saying you're going to use that as sort of explaining why Jason Kidd is better than Nash. That doesn't hold weight, dude. No way. The things that Nash was responsible for compared to when Jason Kidd won with Dirk.
I said a billion things here.
Jason Kidd had to do one thing when he was with Dirk.
He's not even in the conversation with Jason Kidd, Nick. He's not in the conversation.
Back-to-back MVPs? How is he not in the conversation?
He's not in the conversation. He's not in the conversation.
Back-to-back MVPs?
Come on.
You're acting like he's a scrub, though.
Set it up.
No.
Let's debate Steve Nash versus Jason Kidd. That's our debate, dog.
We can do that. We can do that.
Nice,
we can do that.
Yeah.
No, don't do it. Don't do it.
Not right now.
Don't do it. Don't do the bro. Don't do the debate. Don't defend Nash
versus Jason Kidd. Dude, I'm a Maverick. I love Jason Kidd. I'm not coming from anywhere like I hate Jason Kidd or anything. They were both on the Mavs. I love them both. But Nash was better than Kidd, I think, as a point guard.
What? Yo, chill, bro. Chill, bro. Pause. Pause.
You know,
put Steve Nash on the 2001 New Jersey Nets, 2002 New Jersey Nets.
Through the shitty East.
Where they go. Let me know.
Who do you have to beat? What was the team they had to go through? Come on, dude. Nash would have tore the East up. Give me a break.
They go nowhere.
OG's going to get the last word. He's about to say something, and then we're going to go to the next trivia question. We'll go to Rex's list.
Love it.
Now,
love it.
You're gonna like this. You realize that when the Mets won their title, who was their coach? Rick Carlisle. Rick Carlisle comes from the old school Celtic type mentality, Red Auerbach, where each player had a job to do. So, we all knew Dirk was going to do what Dirk was going to do. We knew Chandler was going to do what Chandler was going to do. We knew what Nash was going to do or Kidd was going to do. All that stuff down the line. So that's my personal thing when it comes to that. It's a system deal. If you really think about it, who was coaching Nash a lot of those years?
D'Antoni.
Yep, there you go. And what has D'Antoni ever done?
Well,
what has Nash done without D'Antoni?
We're gonna leave it at that. That's an emphatic statement.
Nash was great before he ever got with D'Antoni. Come on, dude.
Jeremy Lin was gonna win MVP if he stayed with D'Antoni.
Oh my god, dude. Y'all guys cannot rip me and then let him get away with that. That's just absolutely blasphemous.
Bro, everybody he coaches looks like Magic Johnson.
You just said he hasn't done anything, so how can everyone look like Magic Johnson? You can't say both those things at the same time.
He didn't do nothing without D'Antoni.
Because they don't coach defense, and Steve Nash never played defense.
I never made the argument of defense. I said, offensively speaking, he is the quintessential point guard.
That's why he'll never touch Jason Kidd. He's one-sided. One-sided.
But why are we putting him over John Stockton when John Stockton, I don't know why Rex made that statement. John Stockton shoots like 50+% from the field, 40 from the three. and he gets you like 2-3 steals a game.
Was
and he
Stockton
can
ever
score
in the
20
50,
points.
40, 90 club?
I
I
don't
said he
think
didn't
I
score
don't
as
think
much.
so, but guess what?
I said
So
he
what-
didn't score as much, which is factually correct.
Yeah,
John
so
Stockton did
was,
not score as much as Nash. That is a fact.
But I'm just
That's
talking
what
about
I said.
efficiency.
Ever on the defensive team?
yeah, Malcolm Brogdon. He wants Malcolm Brogdon too over Stockton because he's 50, 40, 90. It's an inflated
No,
club,
I'm talking
bro.
about being
And
like the best player on your team or the second best, getting 50, 40,
He's never
90.
been the
I'm not
best
worried
at
about some
anything.
guy who's third, fourth, fifth, or coming off the bench getting 50,
Steve
40,
Nash
90.
Steve Nash is a thief.
A thief? Come on, dude. Now
we
you're
should
just
probably
you're just
just
being
do a show on
disrespectful. You
Steve
just don't like
Nash.
Steve Nash.
Trivia.
Yo,
Trivia.
why do you think Shaq was saying, "Oh, Dirt won MVP, not Nash, bro"? It's D'Antoni, bro. All I'm saying is don't debate Kid versus Nash. I'm just doing you a favor. It's my opinion.
Well, I'll do what I want, and I'll debate Nash over Kid.
All right, let's cut it off here because I said we were going to cut it off about 5 minutes ago. So we're going to really cut it off here. And we're going to go to the next trivia question. Before we get to that, some of the comments. Michael says, Jason Williams was an overrated turnover machine as a passer.
That is not true. Look at his stats. Look at his turnover ratio. That is a misconception.
The why Rick Alderman put him on the bench all the time.
Dude, the numbers are the numbers. That's a fact. He was not a
Jason Williams
turnover
started
machine.
for the 2006 championship Miami Heat. Can we stop the blasphemy? Can we do our research, guys? Come on, guys. Stop the nonsense, man.
That goes back
This
to
dude's a
that goes
champion.
back to the Kid on
Come on.
2011 argument. Like, he's not the reason they won.
Ren Sport says Nash made Amari and the other scrubs on Phoenix.
What? Nick, stop, Nick. What are you talking about, man? Who was it?
We finally the rubber finally hit the road. We finally found something we disagree on.
Nash made Amari and the other scrubs on Phoenix. They were nothing without him, says Ren Sports.
True. True.
Michael
True.
says Stockton was the best passer ever.
Oh shit.
But let's get into the next trivia questions. Beer Zaminlar says hi. Hello, Beer, if that's how you say it. I apologize if that's not how you say it. I like beer though. So anyway, that's a sidebar. The next trivia question, if you are in or if you're watching this live and you want to participate, please put your answer inside of the comments section. The next trivia question is, how many players from 2000 to 2015 won the assist title for the year?
How many different
players won the assist title from 2000 to 2015? Starting with Rex, since Joe answered first.
9.
I'll just keep going. I'm listening. I'll be right back.
Well, I need a couple seconds here, guys. Hold on. I got to think about this. 5. Let me see.
I think my number's too high, but
yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, because you got Rondo in there.
This is a good one.
Didn't Harden win 2 or no?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I'm high. I think Rondo won like 4,
I'm
didn't
going
he?
to say 6. Yeah, I'm going to say 6.
Yeah, I think it's something more
Was I
right
next?
now.
I think I was next.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm way too high.
And I'm going to go with lucky number 7 still. I just like that number.
Fine, then I'll go 8.
Hey, keep guessing 7, you'll end up with that 0.
I'll go 8.
I'll be back in a second. I'll go grab a drink.
What you think, Judge?
One other thing about the Kid and Nash thing too is like a lot of kids.
Oh, here we go.
I'm just gonna say a lot of kids like assists come on the fast break, right? Which is not a knock on him or anything, but in the half court, right? Nash could definitely better work an offense, call a play, and get something manufactured, in my opinion, than Kid could. Kid wasn't like a penetrate and find the guy on the wing or something like that. A lot of his stuff came going full speed down the court on the fast break. which is kind of partly what I was
Yo,
trying to say.
Nick, don't be trying to
that's
people
not
parse
true.
the thing here. Listen to me, Nick. Listen, I want you to listen to me. Understand what I'm saying to you, man. We're talking about who's a better player. If you're trying to parse it down to the pure point guard player scoring, that's not it.
Well, that's what I said from the
Kidd is
beginning.
a better overall player than Steve Nash. He's a better player. You have to rank him higher. He's
A better point
player.
guard? Who is the better
That's what
point
I'm
guard?
saying to
I
you.
think more specifically.
He's not.
Let
Jason Kidd is because he's a better overall player. So he impacts the game on more areas.
let's save it for
You
the
left,
debate.
Dart. You left, man, and we went crazy.
I had
He
a
can
feeling
hear
it was
us.
going to happen. Judge, what's your number? I heard everyone else's number.
I'm gonna go 5, bro.
All right. For the people in the comments, Michael says 7. Taj Raheen, welcome. Stockton just wasn't really a 90% free throw shooter. Okay.
Correct.
Wasn't a 40% 3-point
Which is weird.
shooter
Which was weird. He's 54, 52 from the field, 38, 40 from the 3, and then he's like in the 80s from the line. I never understood that.
I mean, it's not like that's a bad number, though. You know what I mean? 80s isn't terrible. If you're in the comment section, for the question again, if you'd like to participate, how many players from 2000 to 2015 won the assist per game title? I'll give everybody a second here. And one person got it right, and that person was Judge SP. It was 5 different players.
Yeah.
I will not list them because I may use a question out of that in the future.
Because people forget that Deron Williams did his thing for a while, right?
Yeah.
He did not win any, but
I wasn't here with no damn assist title.
Rajon Rondo got like
Russell
4.
Westbrook
and-
did. I know
Rondo's
that.
up
James
there.
Harden.
Rondo's up there. Harden.
You know,
Where did Harden get his after 2015?
to segue from like last.
Yeah, Westbrook led the league in assists.
Yeah, that's
Chris
right.
Paul,
Yeah.
Steve Nash, Jason Kidd.
Harden.
Somebody from the Detroit Pistons from like last week in there too.
let's go to Rex's list. Rex, if you want to explain your list a little bit more, and then people will talk about it.
Okay, well, one I'm just going to gloss over. Magic. Everyone knows. You don't really need to say anything. Magic, he's Magic. The only thing I thought was interesting that I found out about Magic, and yes, this is the first time I did any research for any of these debates. Magic has the 6th highest averages in NBA Finals. Then comes Michael Jordan with the 7th best assist average for a Finals. Magic has think about that. The 6 highest assist averages in the Finals are all Magic. That's like Wilt Chamberlain-esque right there. I mean, when you look at the rundown of the most for each, and they have like each Finals year, the top 6 are all Magic.
For
That's
passing.
crazy. That's crazy.
For passing, right?
Yeah, Pat, most assists per game in the Finals.
Which point guard in NBA history played the most finals? It would be Magic.
No.
Steph Curry and Magic. Who played more? And Kuzi. Sorry.
Casey
Per
Jones.
game, though. It's not
Yeah,
total.
the Celtics.
Casey Jones
Yeah.
played more.
Or they won
10.
10.
No, he won 9, played in 10.
Oh, Sam
He
Jones won
lost.
10.
Yeah, won 10. He was shooting guard.
Okay.
And on an aside, Dart, I can't believe you're wearing a Sixers jersey and you didn't have any of the Sixers that had led the league in assists before on your list.
Yeah, man, we haven't won a title in 40 years, so.
Can you name the Sixers that have led the NBA in assists?
Well, Chamberlain is one of them.
Yep.
If I had to guess otherwise, man,
He's a player and a Hall of Fame player and a coach.
Yep.
Okay, I
No.
know who it is.
Well,
No.
didn't Iverson lead the league in assists once?
I don't think so.
No, never.
I thought he did once.
All right,
Never,
I'm looking at the list now. I just know I'm pretty sure Chamberlain did.
Get together, Rex. Get together, man.
I mean, looking at this list, at least per game, I'm looking at the per game list. I don't see anybody from Philly on the per game list at all.
Well, Wilt led the NBA in assists as a Sixer. Anyway, my list, I put Scott Skiles on there because he has the record 30 assists in a game.
30, yeah, magic.
I got Lenny Wilkins.
I have the NBA and ABA up. That's why. My bad.
I have Lenny Wilkins because it was a news story when the top 75 list came out, and a couple guys, modern players, were left off, and one of them had made the comment about why is Lenny Wilkins, why is he on the top 75 list? And one of his own players, when he was coaching, was derogatory towards him and didn't even know that Lenny Wilkins had played in the NBA. Lenny Wilkins retired as the second all-time leading assist man in history, behind only Oscar Robertson. Lenny Wilkins was it. He came in second in MVP voting one year. He won a championship, or went to the finals, lost to the Celtics as a rookie with the Hawks. So I have Lenny Wilkins, Magic, Scott Skiles. Number 4, I have Bill Russell, because all anyone ever talks about with Bill Russell is the championships and the defense. Bill Russell, to this day, has the 3rd highest assist average per game of any center that has ever played in the NBA. And that was, as OG was mentioning, back when it was very hard for a center to tally assists because outlet passes for fast break layups did not count. And if you passed the ball out from the low post, it did not count. But Bill Russell has the 3rd highest assist, behind only Jokic and Wilt. People do not mention that about Russell when they say he had no offense. That's like saying John Stockton had no offense because he passed all the time. And my number 1, and this is the most, the fact that no one had this on their list, had this man on their list. Even when you went by decades, you all left him off your list. For the 70s, y'all had Oscar, correct? Yeah.
I think somebody had Oscar, right?
Someone had Oscar.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
Oscar Robertson only played till 74. The man with the most assists in the 1970s was Kevin Porter.
Oh.
Kevin Porter is the first player to have 1,000 assists in a season. He led the NBA in assists 4 times in the 70s. He had the then NBA record, which when Scott Skiles had 30 assists, he broke Kevin Porter's record of 29. Kevin Porter had 22 or more assists in a game 9 times. That's more than Magic. But no one probably even knows who he is. And he was out and out, without question, the best assist man of the entire decade of the 70s. But because he was replaced, Detroit had Dave Bing, who's a Hall of Famer. Very famous, very cordial guy, very accommodating guy. Media loved him. They had Dave Bing. They traded Dave Bing to the Bullets for Kevin Porter. Kevin Porter then ran Detroit through the 70s, had the most amazing statistics. Then he got hurt. When he came back, he got traded back to the Bullets. And the next year or the year after, they drafted Isaiah. So everyone forgot about Kevin Porter. It's like Detroit running backs. You say number 20, everyone says Barry Sanders. Well, there was a number 20 named Billy Sims That was just as good as Barry Sanders. But people forget about him because Barry Sanders just wiped the memory out of it. Kevin Porter was amazing. He's actually who I patterned my game after when I was a kid because we had Bullet season tickets. I got to see him all the time. But look up Kevin Porter and look at what he was actually able to do. His numbers are staggering, and no one remembers who he is.
All right. Anybody want to talk about Rex's list in any particular order?
It's true. When I did a lot of my research, his name kept popping up. You know, definitely all facts. What he's saying. I think if I'm right, his assists, the most assists he ever had, the most assists anyone's ever had in 1 year. I think he's like a top 7, top 8 player of all time to this day for the most assists. He has over 1,000.
He had 1,099 assists.
Yeah.
When no one else had ever gotten over 950.
Yeah.
Then John Stockton came along and buried him down the list by getting all those 14 and 13 assist seasons. But the first player to get over 1,000 assists, and a lot of that has to do with the games, yes, because when Kuzi played, they played less games, so he wasn't going to hit 1,000. So, yes, I do understand that. Oscar Robertson, for a good portion of his career, they didn't play 82 games yet. So, yeah, they were at a bit of a disadvantage there, yes. But on an 82-game schedule, he was the first guy. And he played for Detroit, guys, when Detroit sucked. Okay, he was passing to nobodies. Terry Long, or what was it, John Long and Terry Tyler. And the coach was Dick Vitale, okay?
Yep.
That's who he played for and still had 29 assists. 9 games over 22 assists or 22 assists or more. 4 times leading the league. 1,000 assists in a season. What if he had played for the Lakers, man? What if he had played for Boston? You know? But so overrated, so overlooked, so underrated. In fact, I'd even put him as one of my top 3 most underrated players in history.
Oh, wow.
Look up his numbers. It's unbelievable. When you look at him, you go, who is this guy? He literally could walk. He could be in this live chat right now talking basketball. You guys wouldn't even know who he was. It's crazy.
Does anybody have anything to say about Rex's list? Just for a reminder to everybody, what his list was Magic, Scott Skiles, Bill Russell, Lenny Wilkinson, Kenny Porter.
Kevin Porter, you see?
Did I say Kenny?
No, he's known, bro. I look at him like how
I was Ron Burgundying it. I have his name up here too.
No. Like honestly, God, when I think about that guy, when I think about him, because his name has definitely come up over the years. I think about him. I think about guys like Norm Nixon, guys that big point guards who can get the job done that we don't hear a lot about.
His style was a lot like Norm Nixon. Yes. Now that you mentioned it,
Yeah.
He had what he was famous for. Kevin Porter he was famous for the high dribble. He was a small player that had a high dribble, brought it up real high, which was a playground thing. And organized coaches didn't like that. But it worked for him.
All right. Does anybody else have anything to say about Rex's list?
Okay.
I want to hear someone talk about Scott Skiles. How do you feel about Scott Skiles being on this list?
Well, shout out to Scott Skiles, man. Shout out to Scott Skiles.
His attitude was a big problem for him. He was a troublemaker. So a lot of coaches, a lot of organizations.
I know for me, at least I would say that, you can't knock somebody who's had the most. Like I feel like if you have the most ever in one game, there's a real argument that you should be on the list as best passer of all time. I'm not saying he necessarily needs to be or that like he has to be on the list, but to say that for him to be on the list, I think, if anybody knocks him being on your list, I think that's that's not right, because you can't knock somebody who has the most assists in one game of all time. You know what I mean? You can't knock.
Yeah, that's what I tried going to, because everyone
You can knock
expects
whoever
me
you
to
want to
rise
knock,
on him.
dog. Yes, we can.
You can knock him, just like Nick knocked.
We can knock
Jason,
everybody
Jason
on
That's
the
right,
over
baby.
Steve
That's
Nash.
Kid needs to be brought to heel in this chat.
Now,
And,
I
and
don't
Scott
know what
Skiles' best year, was he as good as Nash?
Yo, like OJ said, man, we're talking about flashy passers. Guys who had the flair, man. Guys who had the skill passes, man. You guys are talking about pure point guard play, guys who were dropping assists and all this point guard ranking stuff. Kevin Porter, underrated, and John Stockton, and this person. The flashy passing, man, the passers. That's what we're talking about here.
Yep.
No,
Yep.
Porter is definitely honorable mention
Shout out to Lenny
100%.
Wilkins, too.
Lenny Wilkins he's got 2 Jacksons for the Hall of Fame as a player and as a coach, but with Scott
3
Skiles,
times. 3
I don't
times.
know
Lenny
what- I
Wilkins is
don't-
in the Hall of Fame 3 times. Also as a
Three for
member
what?
of the Dream Team. He was a coach on the Dream Team.
oh, okay. Now,
He's
hear
in
me.
the Hall of Fame 3 times.
Rex, I want you to hear me for a second. Now, I remember the Orlando Magic in the early 90s, and Scott Skiles was not a starter on that squad. I remember the evening he got 30 assists. I remember that. I remember the highlights. I clearly remember watching that. The reason why I don't rate him like that is because I felt that night there were manufactured assists. He was going for the record. Everybody knew he was going for the record. It was kind of that night when David Robinson won the scoring title from Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah,
He
when he
just took
scored
every
71.
single shot. He took every shot. What was it, 71 he did? Something
Yep.
like that? Or 73,
Yeah,
71?
71.
And he took the scoring title from Shaquille O'Neal. It was a thief because he didn't do it in the flow of the game. They force-fed him all the ball. And that's what happens with Scott Skiles that night. That's
Yeah,
just how,
but-
that was
But
how I
part of
felt
the
about
course,
that night.
but just like talking with Stockton, Force giving him the ball and saying, okay, go get assists. Well, the other team knows you're trying to do that. And they're
But he
still
did it for a
trying to
career.
stop you.
He did it for a career, bro. Scott Skiles had a nice night.
Well, what happened with Scott Skiles was they got Penny Hardaway. So that's what happened to Scott Skiles. Yeah.
So what happened after?
It's like Norm Nixon. Norm Nixon was an all-star. Then they draft Magic Johnson. I mean, what are you going to do?
So what happened to Scott Skiles after that? After Orlando?
Same thing that happened to Norm Nixon after Magic. Got traded to a different team, was sour about it. He was a troublemaker, ended up not getting any play. Scott Skiles has the NBA record for most DUIs by a player, by the way.
Yo, then he should be off the list then.
Real fast, Omar Rana says he wants to hear somebody talk about Scott Skiles fighting Shaq. Does anybody know that story particularly? They want to talk about it.
Well, Scott Skiles would start a fight with anyone. He was a troublemaker. That was the problem. That's why he had the talent. He was a great shooter, great passer, tenacious on defense, undersized though, but he was a problem child. He said it in a Sports Illustrated article. He had his personal problems, limited.
So look at his decisions.
opportunities.
He made the NBA because of his personality. That's how he made the NBA.
So
That's
then,
how
bro,
guys
how
like
did
Scott
how
Skiles
did he
make the
become a
league.
coach?
They make the league off of their grit, off of their tenacity.
So how did he become a coach? He became a coach too.
Yeah. He was a decent coach, as I remember.
Someone hired him to coach kids.
Coach Kids, yeah, he was an NBA coach.
Yeah, once again, though.
I mean, like, you know what I
You
mean.
guys are getting into rankings. Scott Skiles is not an all-time great point guard or playmaker. Yeah, he was a solid passer. That's why he had the 30 assists. And we must remember, teams back in them days ran systems. These guys ran offenses. People played their roles. The point guard was an actual position. So you're going to be dropping dimes. Guys have to make baskets. You brought up David Robinson scoring 71 points to beat Shaq. He had to score 71 points, though. He had to actually do that, though. I don't care how many shots he's taking. You got to go out there and make them baskets.
Absolutely.
But when everyone in the arena knows that you're trying to get those baskets.
Does anybody else have anything to say about Rex's list before we move on to the next trivia question?
To be honest with you, I thought I'd get a lot more flack.
You had Scott Skiles, you had Magic Johnson, you had John Stockton.
No, Kevin Porter.
You had Kevin Porter. Who were the other two guys?
Lenny Wilkins and
Bill Russell and Lenny Wilkins.
Wilkins is a big time pass player, man. I don't know. Listen, you guys know when he comes on the show what his list is gonna be like. You know what he's gonna do. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah, but you've never criticize me but you've never asked why. I've said why before, but you still criticize me for it. I don't evaluate players that their career is still going. I don't consider them. When they're done, then we'll talk about what they did on the court. That's why I have no present day players on any of my lists, because the time to talk about their legacy and what they did as a player is when they're done. I don't talk about present day players. I try to bring up guys that have been forgotten because, see, you guys pay attention. So I know every one of you at some point after this moment is going to Google Kevin Porter. That is why I brought him up. That is why I bring up Lenny Wilkins. So you guys will learn about these guys if you don't already know. That's why
I already know about all those guys. I already know about all those guys that you told me about. But I want to ask you a question. What do you compare for us the passing game of someone like Nikola Jokic and Bill Russell? Since you have these centers as passers, do you see any comparisons in their game or not?
Yes. The difference between, let's do Wilt and Jokic, because Wilt actually is the only center to lead the league in assists. Wilt did it from the low post. Okay, there's three kinds of passers. There are great passers from the outside looking in with that quarterback view, where they're looking over the whole court and they make their decisions. That's like the traditional point guard, like a John Stockton type of passer. Then you have the passers in the mid-range. These guys are normally don't get a lot of assists. They're normally the hockey assist kind of player, where they're making a cut, they're making a high post, they're doing a pick, and they're doing a screen and roll. They'll get the ball, and then they'll make the additional pass to an open guy, but it doesn't necessarily mean an assist. You know what I mean? There's that kind of passer. Then you have low post passers, which Akeem was great at. Wilt led the league by doing it. Shaq, I consider it Shaq's really just about only real skill was his low post passing, because he couldn't shoot. And there's three kinds of passers. From my point of view, I've only seen two guys that were adept at all three types of passes. And they played together at the same time, Magic and Bird. They could make those passes from anywhere on the court. They could. It's three different kinds of passing. And Jokic is like a high post passer. He doesn't. That's where they create a high offense, draw the defense out because of the threes that are so prevalent today, and then that opens up a bunch of back doors, a bunch of screen and rolls off of his pass where he's not the screener or the roller. He's not directly involved. It happens on the weak side, comes across, then he makes the pass. So it forces the defender to not only make the decision of going out to contest the three or pull back in, but immediately off that decision, they have to rotate weak side. And Jokic has that little bit of patience to wait for the rotation and then hit the guy. People make fun of him saying he's slow. People made fun of Wilt when he was older, saying that he had gotten slow. They let the play develop and they don't rush it. It's different from Showtime, where the whole point Or like you had Isaiah Thomas, the Detroit offense, which the whole point was to apply pressure up the middle and force the defense to make a mistake. Their way of passing is to go run your offense, use a little bit more of the clock, show 3 or 4 options, and wait for the defense to make a mistake. And those are the differences in types of passing. The attacking pass, or the wait for the defense to make a mistake and then make 1 out of 3 or 4 choices that leads to a basket. It's different kinds of passing.
And I think with what you're saying, Rex, too, particularly with Wilt and Jokic that had a threatening offensive game, they usually choose to close in on those guys. And then you got a guy open after they try to double you.
And then if you're able to stay calm and run another motion off of that motion, in today's game, that's hard to beat. That's hard to beat with the defensive rules.
Quick question, real quick, to Rex. Is the Kevin Porter the same one that finished his career in Portland?
Did he finish in Portland? Would have been about 1982.
Oh, no, then it'll be a different Kevin Porter.
No, Kevin Porter, the one I'm speaking of, I think played 71 to 82-ish, 83. He might have bounced around to a couple teams at the very end of his career after he got injured the second time.
Yeah, the one that I'm thinking of is like went to the finals against Jordan.
No, Terry Porter. Terry Porter.
You're right.
Terry Porter.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, Terry Porter.
On a sidebar, there's a Kevin Porter Jr. in the league. I wonder.
Not related.
Relation. No relation.
No relation.
Okay.
I already looked it up. No relation.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't even know if you can find highlights on YouTube of Kevin Porter, but his thing was the high yo-yo dribble, and he'd lull you to sleep with that dribble. He would do that high dribble to where you thought you had it timed. And when you would make a move to go for it, he was around you. And then he had the 5-on-4 advantage that every point guard looks for. And then you just pick out the open man or the man moving to the open spot. That's a different type of passing than John Stockton, who used to pass players open, where the offensive player would be open or would be covered, even double teamed, but he'd see the open spot in the lane and he would pass the ball to the open spot with mad spin on it, so it would hit and kick up towards his offensive player, who would make their cut while the ball was being passed. And you're essentially passing the guy open. They do it in the NFL, where they'll do a down and out, where they'll go down and the quarterback actually throws to the open area before the receiver even gets chucked. And he takes the chuck, turns, and then the ball's right there at his hands. That is like what John Stockton did. Magic, Isaiah, those guys attacked the basket, forced mistakes. Guys like Kevin Porter and even in Jokic and Wilt, when he turned into a passer, they would lull the defense to sleep and wait for a mistake, wait for a defender to get flat-footed. His offensive player would make the cut, and then there's the pass and there's the basket, which was why the 70s was boring. It wasn't fun to watch for casual fans, but for real basketball, guys just that lived and died basketball, you loved seeing that. Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. There's a mistake, bam, make the play. That was exciting.
I want to add something on a sidebar that is not a lot to do with basketball, but it's got to deal with martial arts. A lot of people say boxing is boring. Or other particular martial arts, if you like. I particularly like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or people that like Taekwondo or karate or judo and understand how the game is played. It is I'm not saying that it's not a boring casual fan. All those what I'm talking about. Unless you're searching for knockouts in boxing, that's the most popular of the ones I'm saying, in regards to the United States. But if you understand the beauty in how they actually do everything,
the positioning, the leveraging. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's if you understand what's going on. 70s basketball was fantastic. If you understand what's going on, because it got to the point where it was like the NFL. It was all about coaching, all about different roles, and all 5 guys being involved in the offense with a specific job to do. Then it turned into one-on-one isolation, chucking threes, and that type of thing. And to me, it's not as entertaining if you actually understand everything that's going on. When you have two teams, each of them laden with top draft picks and great players, Hall of Fame, future Hall of Fame caliber coaches going at each other for 7 games, to where catching that one little mistake by the defense where a guy turns his head at just the wrong time, or a guy is leaning on his left foot when he should be leaning on his right, or the guy, you know what I mean, over chases on a pass and loses defensive position. To me, that is exciting basketball because the teams are so evenly matched. See, that's why I love when there was 8 to 15 teams in the league, because every team had future Hall of Famers. Every team had a great coach. And the differences between winning and losing were so tiny. I mean, the great Celtics teams went to 10 game 7s.
Yeah.
They didn't dominate. They went to 10 game 7s.
Yeah.
But they went 10-0 in game 7s.
Who did you have number 1 on your list? You're Magic Johnson number 1, right? I'm just writing that down.
Well, I mean, Magic Johnson because he's Magic Johnson, but technically I had Kevin Porter as my number 1 because I wanted to emphasize his importance to the 70s basketball and what he contributed, and so few people know him.
Yeah, to piggyback on Rex a little bit there, 70s basketball, those true point guards, their intelligence was so high because they would watch the hips and the feet of their defenders, and as soon as the hips moved just where they wanted it, they would go around. And
not just their defender, all of them.
Right.
They would see the guy on the back. They would run a back screen on the baseline, and from being at the top of the key, like elbow extended right, they could see that the guy that's supposed to switch, his feet weren't in the right position to keep up with the man coming out the back, so they'd make the pass before the guy even came out of the pick.
That's right.
And it'd be waiting for him on the opposite side of the basket for a layup. Yep. Casual fans don't understand everything that was going into that play.
Yep. Absolutely. And see, that's the era that I come from.
Yeah, that's my era too, yeah.
Yep, so I understand that 100%.
And that's what I mean when I say to younger players that modern players don't know how to play the game as well. Now they're better at individual skills by far. They're better dribblers, they're better shooters. Their athleticism is being brought to the front with the rules changes and everything. But actually understanding the chess game of basketball, the game has been dumbed down to a certain degree because it's about the big play, the highlight play, because that's how you make more money. That's the point. It's professional sports. That's what they're there for, to make more money. So they're doing what makes more money. But as I've said a billion times, I'm not an NBA fan. I don't watch it. I love basketball. And I love seeing those really tight games, tough defense, where just one mistake will turn the game.
It seems like, and I might be mistaken, but I've seen a lot of head shaking by Robin. Do you have anything to say to Rex about what he's saying before we get to the next segment, the trivia question, and then your top 5 pick?
No, we need to move on. I think we've said enough.
Okay.
He means I said enough. He wants to get it going.
All right. All right. The next trivia question is, who are tied for 4th? No, you know what? That's too niche. behind John Stockton, who has the most assists per game titles per season, the most assists per game titles per season. Who is second on that list? Who has the
Bob
second
Cousy
most?
with 8.
Rex, it's not your turn.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, it's Robin's turn to go first for the trivia question. Who is second on that list? Behind John Stockton.
Well, I'm purposely not saying Bob Cousy now. I refuse to say Bob Cousy now. I won't do it. So I'm just gonna go with I'm gonna say Steve Nash, just for my man Nick.
Funny enough, him and Kidd are tied with 5 each, leading the league in steals. Assists, sorry.
OG, what is your guess?
Oh, he made the reference and comment earlier that I'll probably end up with a 0 if I keep going with the same thing over and over again. So I'll go with Bob Cousy this time.
Bob Cousy.
I'll go Big O just to be different, but again, Rex seems pretty confident, so I'm pretty sure it's Cousy.
Rex, do you stay with Cousy as you said?
It's Bob Cousy. Do you want the years?
Judge, what do you say?
It's Cousy by default for sure. At that time, that's what it is.
All right, for anybody who's in the comments, please put your guess in there. I'll give you a couple seconds to say who you think is the second most winner of the assist per game title in the NBA. Judge and Rex both say Bob Cousy.
And me.
Yeah. OG.
Oh, and OG. Okay, my bad. And then the big O for Nick and Steve Nash. I think it's a little dig at Nick for all of his takes earlier.
Oh, shit.
All right. And the answer is, maybe by no surprise to anybody, it is Bob Cousy.
Bing, bing, bing.
With 8, as Rex had said.
The Big O is third, though, I see.
Yeah.
He took over from Cousy.
Yep. All right. Robin, your list. Would you like to explain a little bit about your list? And then after you do that, just open up the comments for anybody that has anything to say about it.
Yeah, so you guys saw my list, man. I mean, the only guy that I really want to talk about on my list is Mark Jackson. He's really the only guy that I feel like never gets mentioned in discussions of passing or point guard play. Mark Jackson from the New York Knicks, Mark Jackson from the Los Angeles Clippers, Mark Jackson from the Indiana Pacers. That Mark Jackson, the Mark Jackson that played in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Bulls. Mark Jackson, like I said, the last New York Knicks Rookie of the Year. A lot of people don't know that. He was the last New York Knicks player to win Rookie of the Year, man. Mark Jackson, shout out to Mark Jackson. To me, when I was growing up watching Mark Jackson play, other than Magic Johnson, like I said, the guys that I watched, his passing was more like Magic Johnson than I had seen up until someone like a Jason Kidd down the road. Mark Jackson had some of the flashiest passes. I mean, you're talking about through the legs, behind the back. I mean, he really had a thing for the flair, man. So, you know, everybody on the list, if you guys got, you know, want to make a comment or something, but Mark Jackson, he's really the only guy that I wanted to like really talk about today, man. Shout out to Mark Jackson.
The only thing you need to justify Mark Jackson on that list is that the NBA made a rule called the Mark Jackson rule to stop how he dominated on offense with posting up, backing a man down, and then passing off of it. They actually made a rule to prevent how he was dominating offenses. That's all you need to know right there. I mean, he's the only one that they made a rule to try and stop him.
One of the great post-up point guards. This man was posting up Scottie Pippen in the Eastern Conference Finals, guys. This is the kind of post-up game that Mark Jackson had. That's why they put Scottie Pippen or Mark Jackson in that Eastern Conference Finals. Like Rex hit it right on the head. I mean, the Mark Jackson teardrop, the little floater he had in the lane was a thing of beauty. It was also done like by guys like Tony Parker and Isaiah Thomas, guys like that, the little float in the lane.
You know, I was going to comment too when it comes to Mark Jackson. When I was thinking about, I've been thinking about Mark Jackson. One, I think it's an absolute utter insult that he hasn't been able to get back into coaching. Whether it's his choice or not, I think that he needs to be back into coaching because I think he is phenomenal as a coach. And kind of to dig at you just a little bit there, Robin, when you draft guys like Obi Toppin, you're not going to probably get another Rookie of the Year.
You're right about that.
Now, wait a second. They drafted Mark Jackson and Rod Strickland the same year, did they not?
That's a good pick.
There's another nasty passer.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's correct, but if they did, that's a great draft haul for that year.
Yeah, and
I know. Well, the problem was they had two draft picks, and they took 2 point guards, and it's like, what are you doing? Get Patrick a wing scorer. What are you doing? But they drafted 2 point guards, which you're trading one of them. One of them ain't staying. So you're shaking up your roster right from drafting them. They can't play at the same time.
Yeah, but Bernard was there, right? So they had Bernard King at that time, right? No,
Bernard King was playing for the Bullets at that point. That was after Bernard's injury, and he went to the Bullets. It's like 3-4 years.
When Ewing came in.
But if you do end up picking two of the same position in a draft class, or if you pick somebody that you already have, like, I mean, think of the Orlando Magic, think of the Boston Celtics with Bill Russell. I mean, you can make it happen. You can pick somebody, but you got to make the right move. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's been done, but I get the concept of you don't want to pick.
Yeah, Rod Strickland and Mark Jackson were similar players. That was the problem.
Yeah, they played the same way.
Well, I mean,
they were the small point guards that got in the middle and forced the defense to make a decision. They got in the lane and forced the defense to make a decision. They both played the same way. That's the problem. I mean, when I mentioned before Detroit back in the 70s, their two main offensive players were John Long and Terry Tyler, who had actually played together in college. Both played the same position, and they thought it would work putting them in the pros together. It didn't. You got to be smarter than that at the NBA level. You can't have two players that have the same defensive game plan. It's making it too easy on the other team.
I want to shout out the Detroit Pistons you weren't here last week, Rex or Judge, but apparently they have a lot of records broken against them. Especially during the late 70s and early 80s.
What's the most important record broken against them? Changed the entire face of basketball. No one knows?
Probably points per game.
Shot clock game.
Okay.
The Lakers beat them 19-18, and the next day, Maurice Pudeloff came up with the shot clock because of that game against the Pistons.
Well, thanks for adding on to the reputed
king of useless minutia, right here. Thank you.
The terrible accolades of the Detroit Pistons and how the game.
They were Fort Wayne then. Fort Wayne Pistons then.
Yeah. Does anybody have anything to say about Mark Jackson? Or any?
I like his list.
Mm-hmm.
I like Robin's list. I had Chris Paul after I had Kid and Magic and Isaiah. My bottom three was interchangeable. I had Mark Jackson on my list and off my list, and then I just end up saying Chris Paul because his ability to make a good pass, flashy pass without turning over the ball, and John Stockton's numbers are just overwhelming. But I had Mark Jackson as a 5B. Like, I'm really big on that guy. Played a lot of cities, including my city. So I've always been a Mark Jackson guy. And with the coaching thing, let's not go there. Y'all know how it really goes in this world. So he won't be coaching no more ever again. But Mark Jackson's a big-time point guard, big-time passer, very flashy, and can get the pass in. So he's huge. He's huge. If he was a top 6, he'd be my number 6.
All right. Anybody else have anything to say about Robin's list, or
did he rank
Mark
them?
Jackson?
Did Robin rank his list? Did he rank it or no?
No, you didn't rank them, did you?
In the chat, he's got him ranked. I don't know if he.
Oh, in the chat.
I just put him how everyone said it. I know
Okay.
some people said they weren't ranked that way, but I just put him down in.
He has Mark Jackson 3rd. That's how big he is on Jackson. He's got him 3rd, right? In the chat.
Well, I think, doesn't he have 3rd assist all time also, if I'm not mistaken?
No,
Like,
Steve Nash. Steve Nash came and played one game, got 1 assist, 10,335 versus 10,334. I didn't like that, but Steve Nash.
Yeah. All right.
Mark Jackson, in a way, kind of reminded me. What's that one running back that was a running back for the Jets and the Patriots that ended up like the 2nd or 3rd all-time leading rusher, but no one even knew who he was? He could just like walk right down the street. No one had a clue who he was, but he retired as like the 2nd or 3rd all-time leading rusher. That kind of reminds me of Mark Jackson's career. He just kept piling them up, team for team, just kept piling up, but he's never the limelight guy. You know, going all the way back to St. John's with, Chris Mullen and Bill Wennington and Glass and those guys. You know, he was just never the one that took the limelight and take the promotion, but he just did his job.
But see,
Yeah.
think about it. That also eras during that time. Those guys weren't into their personalities weren't into being that flashy look at me type of player. They were more of a team, not me.
Yeah, they grew up in the. Remember the thing, if you look at the history of when you're looking at polls and all that, as late as 1980, there was a poll by Sport Magazine, I believe it was, not Sports Illustrated, I believe it was Sport Magazine. And the overwhelming GOAT was Bill Russell. And the number one reason given was because winning is what matters.
Yep.
And that was the only thing that people focused on. And that was it. Then it blew up into more individual, paying attention to individual skills and all that. Russell's dropped pretty much off everyone's list for the most part. Mm-hmm. But guys that grew up in the 70s, which was, Mark Jackson, he got to the NBA 88, I think he was drafted, 87, 88. So, he grew up learning the game in the 70s during that period that you and I were talking about, where it was about execution, playing your role, being part of the 5-man offense. And that's how he was raised. That's how he played. But he played for a long time into what could be considered a different era, where he was an old school guy in the new era.
Right.
But yeah, he is so vastly overlooked as well. And like I said, they made a rule change because of it.
To be fair, Nash got his assist in 79 less games than Mark Jackson, just for the record.
Yeah, I saw that too. Okay, I want to ask Robin a question. Robin, why did I know it's subjective?
Once again, who was Mark Jackson playing with in his career? Look at his guys.
We'll have to dive into it. I'm ready. This is going to be a good debate. I'm ready.
The Knicks traded him away after like 2 seasons.
All I hear is excuses.
No, that's right. Robin, you're right. They drafted both point guards that year, and then they ended up trading both of them. Yeah.
That's terrible, yeah. That's not a great move.
Yeah, they brought in Mo Cheeks and Doc Rivers.
Oh my God, no one's
About
mentioned
all
Mo
the-
Cheeks.
Yeah. Yep. Another.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. One
Hey,
of
we
my,
just did.
One of my guys.
We just did. Mark it down.
Yeah.
You just did. You take credit for it. We didn't mention him. My gosh. He was the all-time steals leader before Stockton, I believe.
Robin, why did you go Stockton and not go Steve Nash? Even though you look at all the numbers, like why did you, as a passer, what's your reasoning?
Like I said, I picked it off of the guys that I watched. Now, obviously, I watched Steve Nash. He was in my era also. I was older, obviously. But to me, Steve Nash didn't make all the passes like John Stockton could and consistently do. Like we mentioned before, the outlet pass by John Stockton, the full court outlet pass to Karl Malone running down the sidelines, man. Steve Nash is not making those passes like that, like John Stockton was doing. You know, so for me, John Stockton could make every pass on the money. His assist to turnover ratio is second to none. Like I said, he's a true floor general to me. So I had to put John Stockton in there for passers.
All right.
That's legit.
All right. If there's no more questions about Robin's list, let's get to the next trivia question. The next trivia question. First, I want to address Michael in the chat. He said, I believe he was talking about, this was a while ago, he's talking about Magic Johnson. I don't remember particularly what he was talking about, so I apologize for that, Michael. I did at a point, but I didn't want to interrupt the conversation. So I know you said Magic Johnson. Please put in the comment what you were referring to about Magic Johnson, so I can address everybody about it. Michael also said Mark Jackson's religion got him fired because Andrew Bogut said he was uncomfortable about it because he was preaching in the locker room before games. So one thing I wanted to say, it's a little controversial, but Udoka, I think he got hired again, and he had a controversial relationship with a vice president's wife, and he's got a coaching job again. So I don't think that that's going to stop Mark Jackson from getting a job. If I had to say, I would think that Mark Jackson really just doesn't want to get a job as a coach. I think that he could probably find himself in an assistant coach position or somewhere where he's helping out a team. I would absolutely believe that he could get somewhere. I don't think religion has anything to do with it. But that's just from the outside looking in, especially with, Andrew Bogut of all people. Not to say that he was, a nobody, because I think he's a very underrated player. But I think he could get a job if he wanted to. I think he'd rather just I don't even know if he still does it. I think he would just rather do sports commentary or just kind of just be a contractor versus do the grind. But that's just from an outside looking in.
Didn't he just get fired? Didn't he just get fired too? Like ESPN let go a lot of people. There's a lot of media guys losing their jobs right now.
Yeah, him and
Didn't
Van ESPN no more. So
I think that's right.
That's
yeah.
why if the timing would have been a little different with ESPN, then when there was some job openings and stuff, I thought Mark Jackson could kind of at least get a look at.
They're saying Mark Jackson can't coach because it's Andrew Bogut's nothing in the locker room. It's all about Steph Curry, and Steph Curry and him can't coach. Ultra cool. It's what Mark Jackson was saying, and it was the position of the owner, according to what Mark Jackson was saying, his ideology. It wasn't necessarily his religion, because they're all Muslim and Christian and atheists. Because Mark Jackson has strong views about certain communities, and the owner and many owners don't like that. It doesn't work. So Mark Jackson's not working, bro. I'm surprised he's working on ESPN for that long.
Well, it's also when you're in his position with the things he's done, it's not just, he probably could get a coaching job, but he's not just going to go to any team just to be a coach. It's got to be a team that he feels he's going to be successful with, or he ain't going to bother.
Well, so why wouldn't he not? So then if that's the case, then why wouldn't he not want to go to a young team? Look what he did with Golden State with developing their young talent. Why doesn't he go to a place like Detroit, who has all these young guys that need developing? something like
Maybe
that.
Detroit has the coach they want. He doesn't get to decide. The president of the team decides.
Yeah, I actually would have liked it, initially to have gone to Boston with Tatum and Brown there and everything, and that young core, whatever, and develop them. Because I think his mentality would have changed a little bit of the philosophy of the team for the toughness. In my opinion, I think a lot of times Boston, that's why they, kind of got trucked there in the playoffs, is because their mental toughness wasn't there. And I think that Mark Jackson could have instilled a little bit of that mental toughness.
Maybe he's waiting for the next job.
All right. Let's get into the next trivia question. Who, out of active NBA players, a name, and we'll be starting, just so Rex doesn't jump the gun, with OG answering first. Who, out of active NBA players, has the most assists per game out of everybody who's active?
Active right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
What do you mean? What do you mean by per game? Like career wise?
One game. Highest for one game.
Say what?
Who has the highest assist in one game in their career? I said it wrong. I apologize.
Right.
That are active NBA players. So who has had the most assists all time in one game that are active in today's NBA?
I'm trying to think if Rajon Rondo is still classified as active. Because that's who I would choose if he was active, because I remember he had some over 20 assist games. So if he's active, I'll say Rajon Rondo.
Rajon Rondo. I just want to, Michael responded in the comment section. He said assist titles for Magic. That's who he had guessed. Rajon Rondo is OG's guess. What about you, Nick?
Few guys I'm thinking of, but I think OG nailed it. If Rondo's still in the league, which I think he is, I think it's him. But to be different, I'll go Luka. A little bit of a surprise pick. See if he's up there.
Luka. All right. Rex, what do you say?
I'm debating between Obi Toppin and no, I'll go James Harden.
James Harden. All right.
I believe one game for Houston, he had some crazy number that one year, I think.
Who my second thought process was, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Judge, who out of active players that had the most assists in one game?
Yeah, it's one of two guys. It's one of two guys. It's one of two guys here. Shit. I'm gonna go James Harden.
James Harden.
It's one of two guys. And if it's not Harden, it's this guy, I'm gonna get upset. But I'm gonna go Harden.
All right. Robin, who do you say is the most assists of active players in one single game?
I'm gonna say Westbrook.
All right. If you're watching live and would like to answer in the comment section, please do. Who has the out of active players? Who has the most assists in one single game? If you are consistently at the live streams and answer these, I keep tallies if you're correct, and you may get a free giveaway. I'll give everybody a second in the comments. And somebody has gotten it correct. And that individual is the OG Garfield with Rajon Rondo.
Rajon Rondo's in the league?
I didn't know he was still in the league.
He's in the league?
As of last month, he is classified as active. I checked.
Is he on a team or is he a free agent though?
I think he's a free agent. I asked the question. I didn't say, I said who's active, who's not retired.
I'm filing an appeal.
And to be fair, if somebody could see something otherwise that could prove that he's retired since July, who's number 2 is Russell Westbrook. So
okay, there you go.
There you go.
But unless somebody give me some cold hard information, it's gonna be OG with the answer. For everybody to know who's paying attention, there's a 3-way tie for first off of the panel with Rex, Judge, and OG with 2 questions correct.
They Rajon Rondo with me.
Yeah, you said Rondo, right? You said Rondo,
right, Nick?
No, I said I think you're right that if Rondo's in the league, it's him. So I went Luka just to be a little different. I didn't think that'd be right, but it's all.
What do you have to do to be an active player? To be an active player, you need to be on the NBA roster.
No, but he did say he wasn't not retired.
After you.
I don't know, bro. I'm no disrespect to anybody, but I do not think Rondo is an active player. He's not on a payroll. I believe it's Westbrook.
All right, so I will give the panel the freedom.
Was he under contract last year, and who is he under contract right now? Because there's a lot of guys in the NBA who have not retired, but they haven't played in 3 years. Ray Allen was one of them a couple years ago. Carmelo Anthony was one until like last year. So I don't know what the criteria is. I'm not trying to shit on Garfield though.
He technically did not play last year. It looks like.
I'm trying to be fair. And I think that's what Dart meant.
So I will give the panel the opportunity to veto.
Oh no!
Rondo
I don't want to be in the middle of this.
I gotta be fair. All right. It's Garfield.
Who wants to go?
Give them each a point.
I get 1
No.
point.
No. Garfield gets the point.
OG gets a point. I get a point.
Give him each a point.
He's an active player. So I guess he gets the point.
So who says that Robin should get a point also? Because
I think they should both get a point. If Rondo had played last year, I would say I'd give it to OG, but Rondo didn't even play last year, so that's kind of a tough one.
Only one guy can get the point, Nick. Only one guy can get the point.
Oh man.
I'm sorry.
I'll give it to them both.
No, we can't do that.
The High Council has spoken.
Give it to OG, man. OG got it right.
Oh shit.
OG.
File an appeal with the Fans Association.
Yeah.
But in full disclosure, I did say if he was active, that's who I chose and like that. So I wasn't sure if he actually was classified as active.
You got it, OG. You're on a roll, man.
Yeah, you are crushing it today. So is Rex.
Says OG still deserves a point either way. So we're just giving it to OG. We're not going to give a point to Robin.
Give it to OG.
No point to Robin. I know Rex said Robin deserves a point, but does anybody else think?
Yeah, Westbrook is actually playing. Westbrook actually played last year and is going to be playing this year and is under contract and getting a check.
Right.
All right, so Nick and Judge, do you think that Robin should get a point also?
Oh, don't put it on me. God damn it.
What's the vote so far? What's the vote?
Rex says yes. It's in between you two. If one of you says that Robin gets a point also, then he gets a point.
Oh, I think it should be Westbrook, only because Rondo didn't play last year. If he had played last year, then I would give it to Rondo, but he didn't even play. That's my reasoning.
Because you don't know who's going to be on next year's team until training camp ends.
That's my reasoning.
All right, so Robin gets a point. There's a 4-way tie with Garfield, the OG Garfield, Robin, Rex, and Judge. Nick is protecting that egg today.
I won the only trivia contest that mattered.
Oh wait, did we just give a point to Robin?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Who got the point just now, Robin or Garfield?
Both.
Brother, we can't do that. We're getting carried away now. We can't have a schism. We can't have two popes again.
Oh my God.
We can't have two presidents. There could only be one. Be one.
Highlander rules.
Highlander.
There can only be
It's
one.
gonna be one.
Yeah. Highlander, greatest movie ever made. Won the award.
It won an award. Yeah, greatest movie ever.
For this question, there are two popes.
Oh shit, dude.
Which pope had the most assists?
It's got to be Westbrook. It's got to be Westbrook. Then it has to be Westbrook.
Yep.
Oh
If
man,
we're being
that's funny.
technical, if we're being technical, it's OG Garfield. To say I'm active, I'm ready for work. But if we're not being technical, then it has to be Westbrook. But there can only be one guy. We cannot give votes to two different answers. That's not right. It's not a precedent we can maintain.
Hey, I'm ready to play in the NBA too right now.
Don't want me to win.
So
no,
you know what? Let's just vote. Let's just vote right now, and whatever the High Council says, that's what we do going forward. Let's have a vote, but we can't have two.
God damn it!
There's five.
This is too much for me.
OG gets a point, man. Let's go on, man. Come on, OG guys.
All right, give it to
OG.
OG. Give it to OG.
OG.
All right.
OG.
All right.
Not Robin. Sorry,
Council
Robin.
has spoken.
Squawk, squawk, squawk.
All right. Robin doesn't get a point.
No.
All right.
I'm sorry, Robin.
So Nick still has the goose egg. Robin has one. OG, Rex, and Judge have two. All right. OG. How about you explain your top five and have anybody comment on after it?
I'll be real quick, honestly. Because I kind of explained a little bit when I was stating or whatever. The big thing that when I chose this topic, wasn't so much the analytical, real super detailed. It was just personal opinion, thoughts and feelings of, exciting type passers out there. And I thought that, like I said, Kuzi, they're in the 60s, where they had the rule where you couldn't dribble between your legs and switch hands and all that stuff, still being able to do what he could do and ultimately and still, get the passes off to, any one of the multi-huge Hall of Famers and such. But and then Oscar Robertson, and I forgot to add into the 70s or whatever, Pistol Pete and their fancy type passes. Magic and Bird there in the 80s, pretty self-explanatory. You can't say one without the other, because other than what the Sixers that won in the 80s, early 80s, outside of that, it was all Boston and LA until you got to Isaiah Thomas and the Pistons. And then, the Stockton, Kidd, Nash, honorable mentions, Jason Williams. I just liked how he passed. He didn't play a lot, whether he had foul trouble, whether he had injuries and all that stuff. Jason Williams was just impressive to me and such. Plus his upbringing coming from the small West Virginia town that he did, and to be able to go from that background and make it to the NBA, I thought it was just an all around cool. So anybody wants to chime in, feel free.
Jerry West had the same background, really.
What's that?
Jerry West had the same background, really, now that you think about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was from Shellion.
Yep.
And
keep going, Rex.
oh, I was just going to say, he was naming off the other players, and it just made me think about like Ernie DiGregorio, Bill Walton, Rick Barry, who was considered the best passing small forward until Bird came along.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of those guys we forget about because just the numbers have increased over the years. And like Ernie D, he got injured. He only had I think he's the only rookie to lead the league in assists, I believe. And it was also his only healthy year. That was Buffalo when Bob McAdoo was MVP and scoring champ, all that.
See, that's why I enjoy listening to you guys and being a part of this group and discussion, because, you know, I think of certain players at certain times doing certain things, and then one of you guys will bring up somebody else, and you're absolutely 100% correct with what you say. You know, I just, that the knowledge of everybody, it's just remarkable. You know, I appreciate listening to everybody.
I was going to bring Ernie D up in a trivia question of who is the last person to have won on a team that doesn't exist anymore with the Braves, but I decided against it. But that's, yeah.
Well, they do exist. They're just in a different city.
Well, they're not called the Braves anymore. That's what you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
Anyway. Any other comments?
I like it.
Tiny Archibald.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I forgot him too. Damn.
Yeah. Dang. Whew.
He had he was the guy who had a couple 2020 years, right?
But no, he's the only guy to ever lead the league in scoring and assists in the same year. Then he got hurt the next year. Boston had a horrible record and ended up with Bird coming in, even though Bird was drafted the year before.
But see, you made a reference and comment like with Bill Walton. You know, he was a phenomenal passer and accepted his role of coming off the bench there in Boston and such, whatever, and making his passes. He knew what he was supposed to do. You know, he filled in for minutes and time and stuff like that for, you know, McHale and Parrish to give them a little bit of a break, and made great passes. So yeah, another big man that could pass the ball.
Well, I mean, John Wooden coached Kareem.
Right.
And John Wooden said that when healthy, Bill Walton was the perfect basketball player.
Yep.
He had no weaknesses. He could do everything equally well and always made. He said in one interview that Bill's worst enemy is his body.
Right.
That he only makes physical errors. That Bill Walton never made a mental error on the basketball court. He always made the correct play, but his body couldn't hold up.
I mean, he won an MVP, so yeah, he was definitely a beast back in his day, for sure.
And to chime in a little bit about like one of Dart's shorts that he had talked about, and I had left a comment. You know, when you talk about Kareem played for the JV intramural team his freshman year because they didn't allow freshmen to play basketball, and they were beating up on the varsity team. Imagine if Kareem would have been able to play all 4 years of college.
Yeah, Kareem in the game where the freshman team plays against the varsity team. Every school did it back then.
Yep.
You know, for the student body. The student body was the only one, you know, it was for them to see at Pauley Pavilion. And it was always the same because the team had won, like, they had just won the national championship the year before. And Kareem had 56 points, 20-something rebounds. I want to say 24. And it had, like, something teen block shots, although that wasn't an official stat, but everyone still keeps it, you know. But, yeah, he totally dominated the varsity team that had just won the national championship and would win the national championship again that year. Their only loss, they did lose one during the season, but their first loss was to their JV team in Kareem.
Right. Yep.
Well, that's the then you're going down another tangent, though, talking about that, because what if he would have been allowed to go pro out of high school?
Right.
LeBron would not be the all-time leading scorer. Kareem would have been somewhere up in 44,000.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother.
Well, that's why I don't believe in individual accolades being looked upon so highly, because it's all situation and circumstance.
I think in total, and this is a Michael Jordan fan page, and I'm not. I think Michael Jordan, for the NBA and professional basketball, and for the game of basketball in itself, has had the highest influence on the game, and that's the number one reason why I think he's the greatest basketball player of all time, is because he was one of the best. But if you look at Kareem, who he lost 3 games, I think, until he hit professional basketball in his whole entire amateur career.
Yeah, he lost to the Matha. Yep, he lost to the Matha in high school. Then he lost to Notre Dame and Houston in his college career, and that was it.
Yeah,
Kareem for sure has the next best resume, or I think he's got the only resume that stacks up to MJ, in my opinion. I think he's really the only other guy that you could throw up there. From high school
Absolutely not with
high school in the pros. High school in the pros. Kareem's pretty impressive.
You don't agree with Nick, bro? You don't agree with Nick?
Kareem is not even in my top 10 players of all time, guys.
Oh my God!
What?
Yo, do the shots. Do the shots.
What?
Do the shots, Dart.
Oh, there you go.
Do the shots.
What? What are you saying?
Not even top 10.
How can that be serious?
Real quick, I'll just say this about Kareem. My reasoning is simple.
Skyhook,
this is simple reasoning. When you hear people talk basketball and you have people give their top 10 players or their top players of all time, who are the names you always see? You hear Magic Johnson, right? You hear Oscar Robertson, right? What do they have in common? They both played with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So one of them can't be in the top 10. They can't. It can't be Magic Johnson, the top 5 player of all time, Oscar Robertson, the top 10 player of all time, and Kareem is the top 10 player of all time. One of them can't be there. And to me, Magic Johnson was more impactful than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He was the leader of the Showtime Lakers. Let's not forget, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has 6 MVPs. He won 5 of those in the 70s when he did not win any titles but 1. How come John Havlicek didn't get an MVP in the 70s? How come Dr. J didn't get any MVPs? You know why? Because Dr. J was in the ABA dominating. That's why. If Dr. J was in the 70s playing in the NBA, he would have won 1 or 2 of those MVPs from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. If Magic's in the top 5 or top 10, Kareem can't be there. It's got to be one or the other, in my opinion.
The reason why I say what you're saying is very clever. What you're saying is very clever, brother. But the reason why I cannot agree with you is because Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar are just as impactful on a basketball court as Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant. And both of those 2 brothers went and won rings without each other. And they're both top 10. So I don't know why you're able to say what you're saying, given the facts of history.
Shaq is not top 10 all time. No way, Judge. I'll debate you on that. I got debates lining up all over the place right now. There's no way Shaq is a top 10 player of all time. No way.
I don't agree with the Dr.
Bob Myers.
I agree with that too.
I don't agree with the Dr. J take, because the one thing Dr. J did was score, and Kareem scored just as good or better than him, but was way better than other places on the floor.
Dr. J is nasty. Dr. J is nasty.
I'm saying the one thing he was good at was scoring, but so was Kareem, just as good.
That is not true.
Dr. J was an outstanding rebounder.
Dr. J averaged more rebounds than Kareem did.
Dr. J was a great all-around player.
Dr. J's nasty, brother.
He is. I'm not saying he's not.
Shots, he can score. He can run the fast
Dr.
break.
J for his career averages over a steal and over a block. Not many people have done that for their career.
He's the most underrated. He's the most.
Dr. J averaged like
but so did
15 or
Kareem.
17 rebounds a game when he was young. Dr. J averaged 20 rebounds a game in college.
Okay, I said Dr. J's greatest attribute was scoring. That was his best thing.
You said
what else is he amazing at? What else is he amazing at?
He's decent at rebounds. He's decent at steals and blocks.
Decent?
But
No,
Kareem
he's a
is better
superstar.
in those categories. That's what I'm saying. Like, when you say he would have taken an MVP away from Kareem, I don't see that. That's what I'm arguing. Is I just don't
Kareem
think
won MVP, and his team
won
only
3
won like
times.
38 games.
He
How does he win
brothers,
5
in the
MVPs and only won
He
1
did.
title? You name
But
another
who
player
would-
in the history of the NBA.
I don't
that
think
won
he
5
steals one
MVPs
from
and
Kareem,
never
though.
won any titles.
Mel Daniels might have taken
You're
an
right. He
MVP
doesn't
from
steal
him.
it. He wins it over him.
Okay,
I don't
Rex.
know.
Rex. I
He
need
doesn't
Rex.
steal
I
it.
need
He earns it over him.
I need Rex. I need Rex. Rex. When Kareem won his ring in Milwaukee, wasn't that not one of Oscar's last seasons in the NBA?
That was 71. Oscar retired in 74.
So was he not at the twilight of his NBA career?
Well, what do you want to call twilight? He was in his 11th year, which back then was at the end of his career. But today, that's
right.
like the middle of career.
So that means at that point, you can say that Kareem was carrying Oscar more than the other way around.
Well, yes, but also people always, it was not just Kareem and Oscar. Bobby Dandridge was
Yeah, Bobby
absolutely amazing those years. Bobby Dandridge was fantastic. He was a great small forward during that time. People don't even mention him anymore. But Bobby D, I mean, people just forget about him. Like the team was only Oscar and Kareem. That's not the case.
The reason why I'm saying that is because if I remember, you tell me if I'm wrong, when Kareem wanted to go to LA, there was more than one reason why. There was another guy on Milwaukee who was a good player. I don't remember his name. He was on the downside of his career, as well as Big O. So he went over there to get more players, movie career, and rebuild in LA.
No, he left.
What I'm saying is, when Kareem had good players, he won titles.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yes, I just watched a Kareem video just the other day on Friday, where he says he wanted out of Milwaukee. It had nothing to do with the team. It had nothing to do with the people. He didn't want to offend anybody, but he was at that time switching to Islam. In the process of changing his name in Milwaukee, he was Lou Alcindor. He had already changed his name to Kareem legally, but he hadn't released to the public because he knew the backlash he would get, especially in the Midwest. And he didn't want to cause a bunch of commotion about it. He knew it wasn't the lifestyle he wanted to live, the place he wanted to be. He was getting married, all of that, and he wanted to either be his 3 choices. He said, I want to be traded to the Lakers, the Knicks, or the Bullets. And then a little bit later, he pulled the Bullets off the list, which they were actually making the trade with the Bullets. And then that fell through when he decided to take the Bullets off the list. And then it was New York or LA. And LA literally gave up half of their team to get him. They had 12 players. They gave up 6 to get Kareem. And that's why he won the MVP the next year with a losing record, because they literally gave away half the team to get him. And they knew they were going to lose right off the bat, but they were building something.
Yeah.
And then Sharman moved aside, West took over, and that's when the magic started happening.
So then how can Mike Robin make a statement like that about a player of that magnitude, Robin? How could you do that?
I can see his point. I can see his point
Can't have
because
Magic.
he's a guard. I'm just guessing you're a guard, right? When
Me?
you play. No, Robin.
Oh.
You're a guard. Yeah. Well, I found that a lot of fans, no matter how educated on basketball they are, very, very super educated or not as educated, it's across the board. guards, when it comes to the very high, I mean, he's not saying that Kareem sucks. He's not even saying that he's just above average. He's just saying there's been over 5,000 NBA players. He's saying out of the top 10, he wouldn't put him in it. That's not that big a deal, because if you go by position, that means he'd still have him third, just not first or second. It's not that big of a deal. But a lot of guards inherently do not have as much respect for the big men who get their game, who played in the era where they received the ball from the guards, that the guards did the real work to get the ball to the big man in the post, and then he just finished the play. He was like essentially, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I would guess that he sees Kareem almost as a Randy Moss, that he's the guy that gets the points, but he didn't do all the work to get the points.
The real work comes in the post, baby. That's where it comes.
When you're 7'2", 7'3" with an unstoppable shot, it's not always a whole lot of work. But a lot of guards have that opinion of the old big men, that they didn't do as much, that they don't look at their achievements on quite the same level because they were so dependent on having a great point guard. But you see, this is where I always get confused, because he doesn't include Kareem because he played with Magic and Oscar, but then he says something about like Stockton because he was passing to Mailman, which is the opposite view.
I didn't say that. That wasn't me. Listen, this is the thing, though. When we talk about my list, I have Will Chamberlain number 2 on my list. I have Bill Russell number 7 on my list. All right, I have these guys on the top 10. To me, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Think about when you guys hear people argue for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. What do they always mention? His 6 MVPs, his 6 championships. I've just told you guys, I do not believe that if Dr. J played in the NBA his entire career, Kareem would not have won those 6 MVPs. That's just my opinion on that. Also, when we think about the championships, let's be very clear here. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has won 2 finals MVPs, guys. That takes away nothing from his greatness. What that highlights is that the players that he played with were very impactful, i.e. Magic Johnson. To me, Magic Johnson's a greater player than Kareem. Think about it, guys. All the players that are usually mentioned in top 10s, are their teammates in there? You mentioned Kobe and Shaq. To me, I do not believe Shaq is a top 10 player. Think about Tim Duncan. Are any of his teammates mentioned in the top 10? No. Are any Larry Bird's teammates mentioned in the top 10? No. Are any of Michael Jordan's teammates mentioned in the top 10? Will Chamberlain. The list goes on and on. But people will mention Oscar Robertson and Magic Johnson in the top 10. I can't have Kareem and Magic in the top 10. You just can't have it.
Some people do have either Baylor or West in their top 10. Some people.
Yeah, maybe you can say that, but how long did he play with him, though? He only played with Jerry West for like 3 years.
No. From 68, 69 until retirement, 72, 73.
Yeah, Chamberlain only has one finals MVP.
He played like 3 seasons. Let's not forget. Let's not forget that when the Bucks, Milwaukee Bucks with Kareem beat Will Chamberlain and the Lakers in 71, Jerry West did not play in that series. Jerry West was hurt for that entire series.
Yeah,
so
hamstring.
Let's not forget that also.
Yeah, he had a bad hamstring. He always had issues with hamstrings. People always mention how he was 1-8 in the NBA Finals, but he also got hurt a whole lot.
Real fast, let me go through the comments. This has been going on for some time. Judge disappeared.
Elgin Baylor was on that Laker team too, FYI.
Who?
Elgin Baylor.
Yeah, I said Baylor, didn't I?
Yeah, no, I mean, that Laker team was stacked, dude, just as much as the Kareem's Laker team.
Well, that's the thing that people don't, when they always talk about those Celtics team, how, they had all the Hall of Famers. It wasn't fair.
He was 35 years old.
You brought up old man Jason Kidd winning a ring with the Mavericks.
James Worthy, Michael Cooper, Byron Scott.
In sports history,
still bringing up Jason Kidd 3 hours later.
before the U.S. Russia or USSR
Oh shit.
Olympic hockey miracle, the biggest upset in sports history was commonly considered to be the '69 Celtics beating those Lakers. But everyone still acts like the Celtics were all dominant and just dominated everyone and walked to the title every year. They were the last team in the playoffs that year.
That's okay. I just brought this up in a video that I think I was talking to one of the guys I interviewed recently. Hindsight is 20/20, and I'm not saying that it's bad to, you know, look at things in a different perspective after it's happened. But you can't tell me with Floyd Mayweather that you thought he was going to win every fight, or that Michael Jordan was going to win every finals, or, you know, Bill Russell was going to. Obviously, that's way before my time, but Bill Russell was going to win every finals. You don't know until it happens, because if
Exactly.
it was, you know, even with the Spurs and Tim Duncan, I wanted
That's
them to
why
win.
sports is the ultimate reality show.
Yep, it's
Because
great.
you don't know until it happens.
Yep,
That's what makes sports so fantastic.
and that's what makes Michael Jordan and Bill Russell so amazing, is because they, you know, when they made it to the big show, they made it happen. You know what I mean? Obviously, Bill Russell lost one finals, but
He was
guys-
hurt.
Yep,
He got hurt.
Yep, his ankle, I believe, against Bob
Yeah.
Pettit.
Well, it was actually, what's funny is, oh gosh, what was the guy's name? Darn it. Well, move on. I can't. He was playing against a guy. The injury came against a guy that years later was going to be a Celtic. And first time he came into the locker room after being traded, first thing he did was apologize to Bill Russell for hurting him in the final.
Let me go through the comments, and we'll go to the next trivia question. This has been fun, but let's keep it moving.
Yeah, I'll be quick with mine.
That killed Kobe Bryant.
Taj says OG still deserves a point either way. This is the participation trophy era. Let's give it to both. I'm just saying, bro, says no Kareem. Oh my God, I'm gonna unsubscribe. I think he's talking to you, Robin. And then he says Lakers still would have dominated without Magic because of Kareem. Maybe, but I think it was just a great team to be.
There's no evidence to support that comment.
Oh shit.
He also says insanity in regards to the no Kareem.
Insanity.
Michael says,
I don't agree with it, but I can understand it.
It's insanity, bro.
No, it's not that. It's not that bad. He has Russell. He has Russell and
He
who
said
else?
top 10, bro. He said he's not on the top 10. He didn't say
Of
he's
all
top
players.
5.
Of all
He said-
players.
Not the
He didn't
top
say
10.
top 5. He said
Not the
top
top 10.
5. He's not top. He said he's after 10.
Not in the top 10.
Yeah,
It's
at
not,
all
man.
5 positions though.
You guys have been drinking the Kool-Aid, man. Kareem's career is hyped up, like Dart said, from the high school to college basketball career. That's why he's hyped up. But his NBA career can be scrutinized to a degree where I cannot have him in the top 10 when you have guys like Magic Johnson playing on the team with you. Magic Johnson is the MVP of the Lakers. It's not who's the greatest Laker of all time? It's not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It's not
Jerry
Kareem
West.
Abdul-Jabbar. So what is he? The greatest what? Milwaukee Buck? Is he?
Actually,
I don't think
he
so. So what is he the greatest of?
up until last year. Up until last
I
year,
think Giannis
Kareem was still the all-time leading scorer and all-time leading rebounder for the Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis just passed him this past year. All the way till now, he was still the
Kareem
franchise
Abdul-Jabbar's
leader.
longevity is fantastic. The man has 6 titles and 2 Finals MVPs, man. The man played with some of the greatest players of all time, and you cannot tell me that Magic Johnson was not more important than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
He really had 3 MVPs, but
Hey, and for the person who unsubscribed from my channel, I did my top 10 list like last week. So go check my top 10 list. You'll see who's on my list, and you'll understand the reasonings that I put behind that. This is not me just flabbergasting at the lips. I put some thought into that, and I put together a list, man. I cannot put Kareem and Magic in a top 10. I can't do it.
For more of the comments, Michael says Bill Walton would have been the best player of the 70s if he didn't get injured, not Kareem. The 70s was supposed to be Kareem versus Walton. Everyone wants to talk Kobe and Magic 5 rings, but no one wants to talk about Kareem's rings and Tim Duncan's rings. Especially being a huge Tim Duncan fan, people completely ignore him, and I agree with the Kareem argument too. People care more about flash than results.
Yes.
Bob Dandridge has the most final points in the 70s. This was all Michael, what I'm saying.
Who?
The person with the handle, Michael.
Who had the most fun? What was that stat?
Bob Dandridge has the most final points in the 70s.
That's what I was telling you guys. Everyone talks about Kareem and Oscar. Nobody mentions Bobby D.
Yeah.
And by the way, he played with Kevin Porter in Washington. Thank you. That's why Bobby Dandridge has more finals points, because he went to the finals. You had Milwaukee, but he also went to the finals. Remember, Washington went to 4 finals in the 70s.
I'm just saying, bro, it says the only player having an unstoppable shot alone should be top 10. Yeah.
I can't believe Robin said this.
Taj says, I can't even rank Duncan over Kareem. I test alone, although I only saw old Kareem. Beer says, no, we know Jordan dominates. Taj says, question, does Kareem get 6 MVPs if the media was voting not players? Which, just give me 1 second. There's one more comment after that. If y'all want to answer that before we get to Nick's list. Justin says the greatest Laker would have to be Kobe in my view. 20 seasons, 5 rings, and all the scoring and records. What do you guys think of? Do you think that Kareem would have won if the media was voting for him instead of the players before we get to the next list?
No, because he was not liked. He was like Barry Bonds. He did not like the media, and they did not like him.
Correct.
In fact, no one argued when Stern said in 1980.
Dr. J would have got voted by the players. He would have got voted by the players, Dr. J, or the media, because Dr. J was what? He was box office. He was Showtime, man. They came to see Dr. J. Ain't no one going to see Kareem Abdul-Jabbar play basketball. You guys just said he's not even the greatest Laker. He's not even, think about that. How can you be in the top 10 all time, but the franchises you played for, you're not even the greatest player of your franchise?
Robin, do you have,
because he played for the Lakers.
Robin,
That's
do you,
because
what was he winning in the 70s?
Robin, do you have Kobe and Magic in your top 10? Just wondering.
He's not the leader. He's not the leader.
Do you have Kobe and Magic in your top 10, though?
Listen, Magic is number 4. Larry Bird is number 5.
I believe he does.
Who?
Do you have Kobe and Magic in your top 10?
My top 5 is Michael Jordan, Will Chamberlain, Kobe Bryant, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Bill Russell, Hakeem Olajuwon, Tim Duncan, Jerry West, and Dr. J. That's my top 10.
I can see that. I mean, like I said, guy, he's not saying Kareem sucks. He's not even this or that. He's just saying he's not one of the top 3 centers of all time.
That's our next debate, baby. Is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the top 10?
He just said that he would take Hakeem, Russell, or Wilt.
Hot take, baby. Hot take.
Like I said, I don't agree with it, but I understand where he's coming from.
Yeah, it's not totally crazy. So, it is a little crazy, but
guys, it's the same.
So you have a key. You have a key. When you hear people today say LeBron James is the 2nd greatest player of all time, that's more blasphemous than me not having Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the top 10. There's no way on earth in the history of the world that LeBron James is the 2nd greatest player of all time, but a lot of people have him number 2. So
that's because these people didn't see Dr. J when he was young.
James is not even in my top 10 either.
If you would have seen Dr. J when he was young, people wouldn't be talking as much about LeBron.
He's not a leader.
So what is
he was never a leader. Kareem was never the leader, guys.
What does Hakeem do better than captain?
He said it.
Does
Leadership.
Hakeem do better than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
Take the full
He
load.
does everything better than Kareem Abdul. He's a better player. He's just a better player than Kareem, guys. Hakeem Olajuwon's a better defensive player. Can we agree on that? Can we agree on the defensive end? Can we agree that Hakeem Olajuwon had more skills offensively?
Yes.
He's better than old Kareem.
See, you guys are saying it's not an argument.
Because remember, they weren't recording the blocks, bro. They weren't recording the blocks when
did I mention
started
stats?
first playing.
Did I mention stats one time during this debate?
Oh,
I never mentioned
sorry,
stats. I don't need stats in debate. It's about what you watch on the court. It's about what you watch on the court.
I think Kareem as a post defender was a better post defender in his early years.
All right, guys, let's be real about this. Let's take Kareem Abdul-Jabbar off the Lakers and let's put Hakeem Olajuwon on the Showtime Lakers. Let's put Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on the Houston Rockets of the 90s. Are you telling me they're taking Kareem off there? The Lakers don't win those championships still? Hakeem Olajuwon is not a drop-off from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
No, I don't. I think they're
Prime Kareem? I don't know, bro.
Skill-wise, I think they're close.
You guys are overrating Kareem Abdul-Jabbar because your whole life you've been listening to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in high school, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in college. What did Kareem Abdul-Jabbar do in the 70s? Please, someone explain it to me.
Dude,
he was losing.
He won a championship. He
Bro,
won a
so
championship.
I looked.
He won one title and won 5 MVPs. How do you win one title and 5 MVPs? How is that possible?
I looked at what Dr. J did.
In the 90s, he didn't even win 5 MVPs.
I looked at what Dr. J did in the 5 years prior to when he came into the NBA. Dude, like, Kareem beats him in points, rebounds, and blocks and field goal percentage. Like, he beats him in everything. I don't understand this whole thing about thinking Dr. J is better.
Stats off again, Nick. All you have are stats.
But it's not even close.
Anything as it relates to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar leading a team to a championship, leading a team to a title.
Well, between Magic and Oscar, I mean, the common denominator would be Kareem.
Okay, can I ask you a question? Hold on, time out. So the year that Magic
the common denominator is a great point guard, Nick. You're not thinking straight, man.
Kareem would be the common denominator, technically.
Yo, Rex. Isn't it not true that the year that Magic won the MVP in the finals, wasn't Kareem not the catalyst of that championship team until he got hurt? And the Magic at the finals in '80? Wasn't that not Kareem?
Kareem was the MVP.
He got hurt.
Excuse me. Kareem was the MVP of the regular season, and he was first voted the MVP of the finals. But because he was not in attendance of the game in Philadelphia, they said, no, we're having a trophy presentation. Pick someone else, because he did not make the flight to Philadelphia because of his sprained ankle, so he would be ready in LA for Game 7. But then
Dude, Jabbar averaged 29 and 15 his rookie year.
No one argued. He had such an amazing game that they gave him the MVP.
You're still talking numbers, Nick.
Because that's how good he was.
Bro, Dr. J himself.
He won, though. He won.
Listen, bro. Of the NBA. That means there was
Kareem won, though.
Rex just said that the 70s was the most balanced era, that all these different teams won. Why did not Kareem win more times? John Havlicek, why did not John Havlicek win an MVP? Why did he not win an MVP?
Dr. J himself told you he don't want none of Kareem. They even played one-on-one on pay-per-view. And he was like, oh my God. It was overwhelming. He's a different basketball player. You're not going to take...
Where was the winning? Where was the winning for Kareem?
Where was the team? You need a team to win, right?
Can I speak to that directly?
You don't need a team to win? Who?
Can I speak to that directly?
Michael Jordan never won until he had a whole team.
I can explain to you why Kareem didn't win if you let me. Can I explain why Kareem didn't win?
Tell him why Kareem never won.
Okay. If you look at all of the iconic players, like the Cat, if you look at all the iconic players throughout history, only one was ever allowed to go to an expansion team to start his career. That's Kareem. That was a huge mistake by the NBA, letting an expansion team get the most iconic player up to that point.
The most iconic?
Tell him.
So they ended up winning the championship in his second year, but then Oscar retired. The one guy you're mentioning, I want to say Hudson, but I don't think Hudson's right. But Hudson, I think, was the old guy that was retiring as well that you were referring to, Judge. And he didn't want to be in Milwaukee. He had nothing against anybody. It just was not where he wanted to live. So he said he wanted out. So biggest name in the sport wants something. At that point, teams had to cater. So LA traded half of their team for him.
Tell him.
In an era before free agency. They traded half of their team, their number 1 draft pick, their number 2 draft pick. So they had to rebuild without free agency.
Tell them.
That took years. It wasn't until Sharman and Jerry West combined started working their magic where they got the Magic Johnson pick off a real coup, where they traded or they released Gail Goodrich, let Gail Goodrich sign with Phoenix, which then meant Phoenix had to give their number 1 pick to the Lakers. Then after he finished his contract with Phoenix, he went back to the Lakers. So the Lakers ended up with the Phoenix number 1 draft pick and with the player they traded for the draft pick. And things started turning. Then they got Magic with that pick. And they ended up getting Worthy. They ended up getting Michael Thompson. They signed Bob McAdoo once free agency was open. And they had 5 number 1 draft picks on 1, 2. Well, they actually didn't all play together. Only one left when the other came in. But McAdoo retired, and then Thompson came in. But they built back then. It was slow to build teams, and then when you had the ABA go defunct, except for 7 teams that came into the league, you had all this other talent that was unemployed, which was like a big free agent sweep. If you knew, Dr. J was traded. Atlanta Hawks had his rights. He played with the Atlanta Hawks in training camp for 2 weeks, and he played with Pistol Pete. Then Atlanta, when they were told by the league, no, you can't have Dr. J, they traded his rights to Milwaukee. And it was going to be Milwaukee having Dr. J and Kareem. And the league said no to that. And he ended up in Philly when Philly couldn't have him because they used to have a rule that you could not sign a free agent like that without permission of every NBA team within 150 miles. So the New Jersey Nets, which was his old team in the ABA, they had to pay them cash for them to allow him to go to the Sixers because they wanted Dr. J on a good winning team. They did not do that with Kareem. They let Kareem go to a Midwest team, an expansion team, and everything had to be built. It wasn't like Magic, who gets drafted into a team with the league MVP and the best general manager that ever lived.
That's how they did it. That's why Iverson never went to the Raptors. The league put in that rule. Bro, there's context into what you're saying. Look how much guys have won. How many MVPs did LeBron James win before he won a championship? Sometimes the best guy in the league is not on the best team. Sometimes you're on a shit team.
2 to 5? 2 to 5. Why didn't Kareem win more MVPs in the 80s?
Because he was 35
Because he's winning on a well-rounded team. Bro,
no, he was not, man. You guys are still making excuses.
He was 33 in 80-81.
Why didn't Kareem win any MVPs in the 90s?
What?
Why didn't he win any in the 90s? Because he was old. He didn't win any in the 80s because he was old.
He was not old in 1981, in 82,
the 80s he was
in
good.
83,
In the 80s he was
in
good.
84, in 85. He was not old, man. Michael Jordan won 2
old.
MVPs past
was
33.
old.
What are you guys
Sir.
talking about?
Okay, but
You
what
told
was
me
the stat?
that
What was
Kareem
the
Abdul-Jabbar's
stat?
longevity
All right.
was
We got to
the
finish
weight,
the stream.
and
Dart's
then
got to
turn
go.
around and say
At some
that
point.
the man was old.
In 1985,
this is the hot take of
No,
the show. This
no.
is the hot take of the show.
This has to be addressed. In 1985, Kareem was the Finals MVP, and he was the oldest Finals MVP ever at 38.
We're talking about a regular season MVP. Why did not
Oh,
Kareem
now we're
win more
talking regular
MVPs in the
season
80s?
MVP.
Why
Okay.
did he only win in the 70s? Because Dr. J was not there. That's why. There was an ABA going on. There would have been other great players in the ABA.
I agreed with you.
This is amazing game,
would
man.
have been in the MVP voting.
Why
Also-
are you yelling at me? I agreed with you.
Real quick,
I agree with you that Dr. J and Mel
70-71.
Daniels might have taken some of those.
70-71, Oscar Robertson averaged 19, 6 rebounds, and 8 assists. It was the biggest dip of his career in terms of when he started playing. Dude, well, you're saying that he won because of Oscar. Jabbar averaged 32, 16, and 58% from the field, dude. Jabbar took that team to the promised land, not Oscar. Kareem is why they won. Kareem is why they won, not Oscar.
He won his ring early,
So you're
and he's
telling me
like,
that
I'm
Kareem
going to LA.
Abdul-Jabbar played with 2 top 10 players of all time.
Kareem has the biggest claim to that ring on the Bucks, not Oscar.
No, he doesn't.
Thank
No, he
you.
does not.
Yeah, he
With 2
does.
Finals
Yes, he
MVPs and
does.
6 rings?
Easy.
Look at Kareem's stats.
Easy.
Yo, bro, you
Easy.
can't argue with this guy right now. You can't argue with this.
It's not
He's
even close.
This is a hot take of the
reading
show.
numbers. You're just reading numbers.
He won a championship. You're talking about winning. He won a championship, and he was the biggest reason why.
What I'm saying is that he won 5 MVPs in a span of 10 years where his team did nothing but win 1 ring. That's unheard of in NBA history. Unheard of. Unheard of.
He won his rookie year, though. He came in proving he could win.
They did get to the Western Conference Finals one of those years.
5 MVP awards.
West
That would be
just
like
told
Russell
you
Westbrook getting the MVP award every season because he averaged a triple-double. That's what you guys are saying right now. That's insane. Insane.
This is crazy.
The best player isn't on the winning team every year, though. We all know that.
Yeah, right.
OG, what's up?
I just want to say whatever that I got to get going because I got family here and stuff. But wanted to shout out to everybody that this has been an awesome discussion. Love you all 100%. And I look forward to being here again next week. So with that, I'm just going to bid you all a fair adieu and good luck in the rest of the trivia.
Later, man.
All right, OG.
Be good, man.
See you next week.
Yep, you take care.
Later.
Next week, I'm wearing a helmet.
Look, he
Boxing
pissed off
gloves.
OG. Yo, Robin pissed off OG. OG had to dip now because he's like, I gotta go, bro.
Oh shit!
This is
dude.
the greatest. This was the greatest hot take in the history of this show. What
I
Robin
don't
just
think
said.
so. I think you guys are making too much of it. He's just saying he's not top 10, not that he sucked.
No, he's saying there's 10 guys better than Kareem. That's
Is
what he's
Kareem
saying.
top 20?
In his opinion, yeah.
My next 5 players would probably be like LeBron James, Kareem,
Okay.
maybe an Oscar Robertson, maybe a Steph Curry, you know, maybe some of these guys like that. Maybe a Shaquille O'Neal would be in that next 5 guys. But like I said, I've never thought about a top 15. To me, I'm not impressed with Kareem's. Like I said, a lot of people are hyped up from the high school to college career. I get that. But to me, his NBA career is overinflated. If he didn't have all those MVP trophies, then people would not be talking about him the way that they do. That's the first thing they mention is his 6 MVP. Oh, he's the most MVPs in NBA history. I get it.
Yeah, because
So
Michael
when I
Jordan
look at
fans
Kareem-
don't mention his 6 Finals MVPs first. Never.
No,
Not
they mentioned
ever.
6-0, Rex, 6-0.
So before Michael Jordan, who was the greatest player in the sport? Will Chamberlain?
Listen, when I was growing up,
No?
it depends on
That's
where
a
you
good
go
question.
up, right? It depends on when you go up. But when I was growing up, Will Chamberlain was considered a god, a myth.
You
Someone
guys
that people
good?
didn't even talk about.
Yeah,
If you ever
me too.
noticed when you were growing up, all the stats they give were always what? Before the merger. Why is that? Because Will Chamberlain dominated all the stats. So they always said before the merger. That's all the stats were post-merger. But when I was growing up, a lot of people talked about Bill Russell, like Rex said, because he was a winner. He was a leader. He led the team. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was never a leader. He's not the leader.
He led him to that first ring in Milwaukee, bro. He led Milwaukee to that ring.
Why are you downplaying that? Why are you downplaying his ring with old Oscar? Why are you downplaying
No,
that?
you're downplaying Oscar Robertson. Once again, you guys are downplaying Oscar Robertson. You're downplaying Kareem's team. You're downplaying the guys he played with. On the Los Angeles Lakers, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar played with Jamal Wilkes, Norm Nixon, Michael Cooper before Magic Johnson got there. Magic Johnson was the leader.
I think
we agree.
I think Oscar Robertson is one of the most. Not to say he wasn't great, but I think when people put him top 1, top 10, I don't think he's even close to top 10. Oscar Robertson.
He was definitely on the downside of his career when they won that championship in Milwaukee, and Kareem's numbers are through the roof. Like, Kareem led him to that ring, not Oscar Robertson.
No one ever said Oscar led him to anything. What are you guys talking about? Just putting words in my
You're
mouth.
acting as if they won because Oscar was a great point guard and not because Kareem dominated.
No, wait, I think I get it. That's not what he's saying. He's saying that to be top 10 of the greatest that have ever touched the ball, you can't have shared the court and the responsibility with another top 10.
Yeah, but everyone
does. And then he said Shaq.
Just about.
I understand that.
And then he said Shaq is not
Magic
top
number
10.
4, Kobe number 3.
They didn't share the court together?
No, but Shaq and Kareem were both on those teams, so.
I don't have Shaq in my top 10. Shaq is nowhere near my top 10.
He said,
he has a team of roster. Choose somebody. So you said Magic's more important, so Kareem's not there. I get
that's all he's saying. So he's not saying the guy, since he had to share with another top 10 guy, all-time great caliber, you can't count them both up there. One had to be the dominant figure is all he's saying, and he's saying Magic was more dominant than Kareem. That's all he's saying. It's not that big of a take.
Yeah.
I mean, he's saying he's in the next tier.
I got to check my subscriber count. It might have went down a substantial amount.
Dependent on Magic. That's not that big of a take. That's not that big of a hot take.
No.
All right, should I do my list? Let's get this shit on the road.
I don't agree, but I understand what he's saying. And that's a legitimate opinion.
Dart's wife's going to kill him.
Yeah, okay, let me get my list out of the way.
I don't know where Judge went, but I think he should be back soon. But
yeah, he dips out and comes back. So, I kind of went with what Robin was saying, with like, kind of has to be flash a little bit. It can't just be like a big fundamental accumulation of assists so much.
Wait. Before you get into it, I got to give the next question.
Okay, good.
All right. So, what player has won undisputedly more than one NBA Skills Challenge during the All-Star Weekend?
Oh, I think it's Nash, baby. I honestly think it's like Nash or Rondo or something.
Am I allowed to answer?
I think it's Nick Furt. I think it's Nick, right?
Let me go Nash just because.
Yeah. All right,
Nick says
Nash.
Yeah, it might be actually. I'm pretty sure he won one.
The only player who's won more than one skills challenge, undisputedly.
That keyword, undisputedly, I don't like that.
Rex, who do you say it is?
Karl Anthony Towns.
Oh man!
All right.
He has such confidence too. God damn it.
Judge, who do you say has won the skills challenge undisputedly more than once?
Domantas Sabonis.
All right. And Robin, what is your answer?
I was thinking Nash. I was thinking Karl Anthony Towns because I knew it was somebody that was weird, somebody who you wouldn't think won it.
Oh, wait. I fucked this up.
Oh.
Okay. I fucked this up. I'm sorry. I didn't realize this. All right.
There are two players?
There are two players.
We're going to name one.
Me and Rex will join up for Nash and Towns. Those are our answers.
Okay, you got to name both. You got to name both players.
Nash and Towns.
Nash and Towns.
Nash and Towns.
Sabonis and Towns.
Sounds like a country band.
All right, yeah, I guess I'll
Can you
go with
imagine
Nash.
Sabonis' like holiday when he's home at his parents? They got to be balling in the backyard. Forgotten about John.
Robin, who do you say it is?
Yeah, I'll to be different. I'm gonna go with Towns and Dwayne Wade.
Wade's a good choice,
right.
yeah.
Well, the audience, if you are watching and want to give your opinion on who do you think are the two players that have won more than once undisputedly, please put in the comments. I'll give you a few seconds to answer. And sadly, nobody got it right. Now, however, both names were mentioned. The two people that have done it were Steve Nash and Dwayne Wade.
The Kid and Nash debate is over. It's over.
Now, Jason Kidd did win one. He just didn't win two.
I knew Dwayne Wade, man. I knew it. Me and Nick should split a point. We got to have a point
Nice.
each.
I was almost positive
He
Nash
wants
got
up and
two.
down. He wants to be mixed. He wants to split.
Split it up.
And just let me throw out there,
man.
I've never watched it, so
Yeah, it's kind of boring, but
I've never watched the skills
Robin is
competition.
trouble today, man.
I just
Robin is
remember
trouble
hearing
today.
that. I just remember hearing his name.
Robin is trouble today, bro.
All right, so Nick.
It's too bad Isaiah Thomas wasn't around. Isaiah Thomas would have won more than Nash for sure.
the hate is real. All right, I'll go over my list real quick. So when I was making my list, to kind of give an example of how I was thinking it, like some people sometimes claim that like James Harden is a decent or good passer, right? In my opinion, guys like that, their passes come because they're so dominant with the ball and scoring. I don't consider guys like that to be quote unquote good passers, if that makes sense, right? I was thinking of people who could take over a game simply with distributing the ball or getting into the interior, collapsing the defense, kicking it out, etc. That's kind of what I think in terms of a good passer, someone who can put the ball right on the money every time, right? So for Flash, I had to go Jason Williams, number 5. I think Kidd on the fast break, what he would do sometimes was pretty remarkable. Bird's my number 3, Magic's my number 2, and then I had Nash number 1. I just think Nash being a point guard, distributing the ball, getting into the paint, making a defense focus on him and getting it to other people in rhythm, rather on, maybe you're right on the outlet passes. Nash wasn't the best, but I think in terms of a full court fast break or a half court, I think Nash was among the best to do it. So he was my number 1. My honorable mentions was Stockton, Kuzi. I like Pistol Pete a lot too. And that's essentially my list. So that was my top 5.
Yeah, you love you some Nash. You got him above
I do love
Magic
Nash,
Johnson.
dude. I do
You
love
have
Nash.
lost your mind, Nick. You have lost your mind putting him above Magic Johnson, passing the ball. There's no way. Absolutely not.
I just think in the half court, I think in the half court it's hard to find better than Nash. Maybe like full court fast break, I would give the nod to Magic. Magic's my number 2, so I give the nod to Magic. But like breaking down a defense half court, I just think Nash was the best at that, and that's kind of what I was going on.
I want you to remember something. All right. Steve Nash learned from Kevin Johnson and Jason Kidd on the Phoenix Suns. He played behind both of these guys when he first came in the league. All right? He learned from these guys.
That's
all right?
fine.
Don't forget that.
That's fine.
Does anybody have anything else to say about Nick's list? I think we've talked about Steve Nash.
Yeah, we talked about Nash enough.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, it didn't have to be long. I know you gotta get going, Dart.
Okay,
I don't.
Nick.
I mean, I'm still here. I don't really gotta get going.
Okay.
I'm just saying. Yeah.
Okay, Nick. So you said something earlier, and I hope you don't bring this into the debate with Robin. I feel you're under the impression that Jason Kidd is a transitional point guard in the fast break, but he's not a half court maestro.
Not that he's not. I just feel his best passing is in the fast break. That's not that he's not a half court, but I think his best in terms of being a passer, he's at his best running, big body, like, you know, making guys commit to him. I think that's when he's at his best.
Well, that's D'Antoni's coaching. He wants a shot in 4 to 7 seconds. So.
Right. That's what I was about to get at, because we've seen this guy's best ball with one coach, but I've seen Kidd play with multiple coaches. I seen Kidd play with Phoenix. He immediately went over to Marbury's team in the Nets, transformed the team. They just point guards, and they went to the finals. It made Marbury bad, and he was like, you know, I don't want to get into Marbury. I'm a Marbury guy, you know what I mean? But how you're able to say he's a better passer when this guy has more assists than Steve Nash. Like, I don't understand how you could put Kidd over Nash. And maybe you have a reason why you can justify that, because I don't think your list is bad. I think it's a good list. You know, you have Larry Bird on the list. You don't have Stockton on the list. That's fine. But look at who he's playing with, though, brother. Like, look who Nash played with compared to look who Kidd played with, especially in Kidd's point.
I don't think their help is really that much different
at the time.
I don't think the role players are really that much different. I mean, you look like Kenyon Martin, Richard Jefferson, Keith Van Horn, even for a little bit was pretty decent. Kidd had some good help as well. And in my opinion, like, who was Sean Marion before Nash got there? Who was Amari Stoudemire? I mean, Nash made these guys way better as well. So I don't think the role players are really, like, they're close. They have to be in the same realm, I think, with each other. Kenyon Martin was a dog when he played. He's one of my favorites. He's from Bryan Adams in Dallas, so I love Kenyon Martin.
Yeah, he's a dog. He's one of my favorite players watching him play, but he's not a skilled basketball player.
He's a poor man's Amari Stoudemire.
No way.
You just exposed yourself. He's a poor man's. How many All-NBA teams does Kenyon Martin ever make?
Well, it's not my fault that Nash made Amari Stoudemire amazing.
No. You can't do that. You can't say that he made Amari Stoudemire. Stoudemire was good when he was on the Knicks. Listen,
he was MVP nominee on the Knicks.
Sean Marion, you're underrating Steve Nash's teammates. I hate when people do this stuff. Let's not bring down his teammates. Jason Kidd played with some talent, but not on the level of Amari Stoudemire or a Sean Marion or a Osa or a Quinn Richardson or Joe Johnson. I mean, we can go down the list of guys that he played with. The Phoenix Suns' strength was their depth. Remember, they had like 2 squads that they would play. That was their strength on the Phoenix Suns. Remember that. So when you say that he didn't play with anybody, the New Jersey Nets that Jason Kidd brought to back-to-back finals, you can say the Eastern Conference was weaker than the Western Conference at that time.
It was way weaker.
Okay, you can say that. That's fine. You can say that. However, the fact of the matter is Jason Kidd was the leader of a team that went to back-to-back finals, and they won 2 games off of those San Antonio Spurs that everybody thought was going to crush them in the finals. And if it wasn't for Steven Jackson, in I believe Game 5, putting on a display, then the Nets were going to win that game and be up 3-2. A lot of people forget that. Steven Jackson hit like 6 threes in the fourth quarter of that series against the Nets. Jason Kidd was, because the thing about Steve Nash,
they got swept the year before, right? They got
by
swept
who?
one of
the
those
Lakers
years.
That only lost 1 game the entire postseason. So you're not saying anything, Nick. Only 1 game.
The Lakers, the same
season.
Lakers that Nash had to play and did much better against.
Did Steve ever lead a team to the finals? He never led a team to the finals.
He had to go through the murderer's row of Lakers, and yes, you can. You can look at who they played. You can definitely look at who they played, no doubt.
You said Steve Nash won 2 MVPs. Why was that? Because their team won 60-plus games. You named
and he
the team
drove
that Jason Kidd played on that had a sniff of 60 wins. You can't name it.
The only reason why Jason Kidd never won MVP because he beat up his wife.
He was beat up the same offense that James Harden was dominating until what? He got to the Western Conference Finals.
And he had to play good teams.
Until you get to the playoffs.
The same teams that Kidd lost to.
Do anything.
Kidd didn't beat him either.
He's not knocking the shot down. He doesn't impact the game.
So Nash is penalized. Nash is penalized for losing to the same teams that Kidd lost to. Why is Nash penalized for losing to the same teams Kidd lost to?
Because Nash played with superstars. You want to know the
superstars? Come on,
I'll tell you the
bro.
proof right now. I'll tell you the proof right now. I'll tell you the proof right now. Jason Kidd was making first team All NBA like 7 years in a row when he was playing with not super really good players.
Tony Parker was running circles
Steve
around
Nash
Steve
never
Nash.
made
Nash made all-star
All-NBA.
teams with the Mavericks too. Like he didn't just become this instantly
He's
better
afraid.
person.
Playing with
Francis.
who? Dirk Nowitzki.
Steve
and
Francis was
Michael
better than
Finley.
him.
Are you kidding me, man?
Dude,
Steve
Kid went
Francis.
through nobody to get to the finals. I'm not
Steve
impressed.
Francis was better than him, brother. Steve Francis was better than him. Nash never made
And
first
whenever
team
Kid
NBA
was on
until
Phoenix,
played
he
with
did
superstars.
nothing. He got beat every year in the first round. And when he was with Phoenix, Kid was on those great teams, or who he was with all these great players. Y'all just said he got beat in the first round
you messed
every
up
year.
your argument right now.
Nash
You
played
messed
with
up
the
your argument
players.
right now. You messed up right now. When Jason Kidd was on Phoenix, that's when Shaq and Kobe were in their prime. The Western Conference was in its prime. Sacramento Kings were on their prime. This guy, Nash, had the Western Conference on lock. He only had to go through one player, and he couldn't do it. He never made first team All-NBA until he played with first team players. After that, Nash didn't do nothing.
Well, he also
Nash
got
laying on
hurt
his
too.
back.
I mean, and I don't care. Like, it's really hard to compare a guy who won 2 MVPs to a guy who never sniffed it. Really, he got second or third a few years.
He can't get it done.
You say he never sniffed it?
He got second or third a few years.
In 2002,
He got second or third a few years.
2003. What are you talking about? He was runner up.
Dart. Man's
That's one
breed
of the
is white.
biggest
You couldn't get
rivalries
it
in
done,
MVP
bro.
history was Jason Kidd not getting that MVP.
It's because he beat up his wife. He beat up Germano. It was all over the news for DWI. He was a horrible person at one point. He was not a good guy.
Yeah.
That's why him and TJ don't talk.
Yeah. Now, I do agree. That's probably a big reason why he never won it. Because the league's got to save face.
We got to save face.
Rex likes to talk about it a lot, and I mention it quite a bit, and Judge is alluding to it. You know, you gotta be able to sell the business, and you can't sell the business when you got a guy who beats up his wife, or sleeps with the vice president or what of your team, or
That's why Nash got the MVP over Kobe. He wasn't on trial in Denver.
It's because Ron Artest ran into the stands. That's why they have to give it to Dirk once and Nash twice. That should have been Kobe's MVP or LeBron's MVP or Shaq. Nash was good, but come on. Look who you're playing with, bro. And you still never won. They had more talent than the Spurs, and they still never won. You got the MVP. Tim Duncan never played with a first-team All-NBA player in his life. He never did.
That year that Dirk won the MVP, who was on his team?
Who?
Who was on Dirk's team the year he won the MVP?
In 06 or 07? Was it 06? 07?
It was 06, 07, yeah.
Yeah, Josh Howard, Marquise Daniels, Eric Dampier. He had guys, man. Don't.
Oh, come on, dude! You're gonna name those guys?
See, man, Nick.
To use your argument against you, what did those guys do after Dirk? Without Dirk, what did those guys do?
Wait, how many?
Nobody.
How many games they win?
They're nobodies.
So they won 60 games with nobody. You're saying?
I'm saying what they do without Dirk. To use your own argument against you, what they do without Dirk.
Nash should have never lost, bro.
They were nobodies without Dirk.
His teammates weren't good, but they won 60 games.
Nash had more talent than Kobe Bryant.
You're making the LeBron James fan argument here. You're trying to lower his teammates to raise up other players. That's not how you debate basketball.
You're saying Nash played with like all NBA guys, but without Nash, they weren't.
No. What I'm saying to you, Nick, is that how come he didn't lead a team to a finals, and you keep talking about his competition? But he played on a great team.
So what? Because you play on a great team doesn't necessarily mean you're not playing against other great teams.
So why didn't he
You're the MVP.
Finals? He couldn't go to one finals, Nick. Not one finals. He couldn't get by one time.
That's not. I mean, I don't know.
Exactly, Nick.
Maybe his players should have been better. Maybe his teammates should have been better.
Oh my goodness.
What do you want from Nash? He's dropping 50, 40, 90, winning 2 MVPs, and you're blaming him.
Game other than the offense.
Bro, he's not a winner. Bro,
he's not the game rebounding.
Jason Kidd is no more a winner than Steve Nash.
He was not a real leader.
Jason Kidd is no more a winner than Steve Nash.
Oh,
he was not a leader. He was not a leader.
He's not.
Oh my gosh.
Kid
Oh
never
my
got
God,
to the
bro.
promised land until he got to the Mavericks and rode Dirk's dick and Tyson
Dirk
Chandler.
never won until
What are you
Jason Kidd
saying
got
right
there.
now?
Dude, he averaged
Yo,
8.
Dart, what's going on? Dart,
He
led the
averaged
entire
8
playoffs in
assists.
assists.
He averaged
He
8
led the
assists in
entire playoffs
2010,
in
2011.
assists. The entire playoffs
Yo,
in
Dart,
assists.
do something.
Jason Kidd led the
Dart, do
entire playoffs
something.
in assists.
You're acting like Kid is a winner
Right.
because he went through the weak ass East and then got his ass beat in the finals by Western teams, the same teams
I'm
that
letting it
Kid
happen
lost
for the
to.
people for a
And for
moment.
some reason, Kid gets credit for running through tomato cans, but Nash is not given any credit for having to play better teams. Then
You're
Kid
doing
is
a
not a
LeBron James
winner.
argument.
Kid is
You're
not
making
a
a
winner in
LeBron
terms of
James
being the
fan
best
argument.
player on his team
Yo,
and
Nick,
leading the Mavs to a
can't
ring.
crap on
That
an
was
entire
Dirk's ring.
era.
We all know that.
Nick.
Kid
were
is
you
no
ever
more a
heard
winner
about
than Nash.
Nick, were you watching ball in the early 2000s? There was a term. It's called the Kid effect. They called it the Kid effect.
And what did
You
that
could put
effect get you? Got you no rings.
So what happened when he took over Marbury's team? What happened?
They didn't win a ring, right? That's the whole litmus test for
They went
Nash,
straight-
right?
They had to work
Didn't
with
win a
Shaq
ring.
and Kobe.
Didn't win a
Season
ring.
until Jason Kidd got there. Dirk was a playoff choker. His
Nash
entire career.
doesn't win a ring. Nash doesn't win a ring. It's held against him. Kid doesn't
Dirk's
win a
a
ring, and it's
choker.
somehow
Nash is a choker.
we can hand wave that away.
Nash is not a winner. He's not a winner.
No more
he
is
never went to
Kid.
a winning school.
No more than Kid
he never
is.
went to a winning school.
No
He's
more
not
than
a top
Kid
5
is.
recruit.
Can you
He's
give
not
some
that
props
guy.
to Nick Van Exel?
He's not a winner, bro. He went to Santa Clara. He's not a winner. He's an underdog his whole life. Even he says so.
That's fine.
Jason
Even
Terry
he
didn't
said
play
so.
big in those
That's
2011
fine.
that
Jason
guy.
Kidd.
finals.
The argument is being a winner. Kid is not a winner any more than Nash.
No, the
He was a
argument is
two-way
Jason Kidd is a better
superstar.
basketball player than Steve Nash ever was. Steve
He's a
Nash does not impact
Nash
the
is
game
better
other than
across the
offensive
board
end.
on offense.
That's the
There's no
argument.
denying that.
What did he do better on
that's the end
offense?
of the
50,
He
40, 90.
He
They
shoots
have the
better.
same assists. They have the same assists per game. He scores more points. He's more efficient.
What?
Across the
You're
board
talking
on
about
offense,
offensive
he's
numbers.
better.
Where's Steve
All
Nash
right.
on the defensive end? Where's Steve Nash?
If that's the argument you want to make, then
Where's
that's
Steve
fine.
Nash rebounding? Where's Steve Nash leading the team, galvanizing the players
Where is
around
Kid
him?
leading a team? Why do you think Kid is
Two
the
NBA
leader?
finals back to back.
And he lost. He led him to being
Okay,
the first
okay,
loser.
okay.
Congratulations.
Hold on one
You
second.
ran
I
through
wanna ask you a
tomato
question.
cans in the East.
I want to ask you a question,
All
Nick.
right.
I want to ask you a question, Nick. I want to ask you a question, Nick. Let me ask you a question.
We're
Yeah,
gonna
let Judge ask
continue
you.
after
Dave,
Judge
one more
asks this.
question, one more
Asks this.
question.
We're gonna continue after Judge asks.
All right.
They played in the same era, correct?
Yes. Not in the same
played the
conference,
same-
though. The conferences were
Right.
way different.
Correct. Let me ask you a question. If you look at the team that Nash took to the conference finals, and if you look at the team that Kid took to the NBA finals, which team? Take those two guys out. Take out Kid. Take out Nash. Nash's Western Finals, Kid's NBA Finals. Which team would you look around and be like, I want to go to war with these guys and not these guys? What would you say?
Given what conference they were in, I would take whoever's in the East 9 times out of 10 during that time
That's
period.
not what I asked. That's not what I asked.
But that's
you.
relevant.
That's not,
Because
No, that's not what I
Nash's
asked you.
litmus to win in the West is twice as high than Kid's litmus to win in
No,
the
it's
East
not.
during that
If your
time.
team
That's
is
not what I
comparable,
asked
to
you.
Nick,
Yes, it
it's
is.
not. His team was comparable to the Spurs and the other teams. You can't.
It was
give
better
Nick
than the
excuse.
Spurs.
His team was won 60 games.
His
He
team
had
is better than
home
the
court
Spurs.
advantage. Get out of here, man.
All
His
right,
team
let's.
was, yo, did
So
Amari
let me
Stoudemire
get
not-
this straight.
Amari-
So
wait a
Kid
minute. Did
led them to
Amari
a better
Stoudemire
record in a
ran through
tougher
the Spurs?
conference.
Amari Stoudemire ran through the Spurs. What was the problem? Tim Duncan couldn't hold him. What was the problem?
The
That's
Spurs
why
were
Robert
better. They
Horry-
were a fucking dynasty. They won 5 championships in 11 years. Like, you're holding
Like-
that against Nash. And Kid,
Yo, you're
Kid
not-
got
you
spanked
love
by
Na-
him as well.
What?
Kid
All right,
got
but-
spanked by the Spurs as well. I don't get it. It's like Nash has to play
Nash
harder
is
people. He doesn't
upset.
win. It's
That
held against
series was
him.
very,
Kid
very
plays
close,
those same
Nick.
teams
Watch
and he
the game.
loses, and there's an excuse for it. I don't get it.
Yo, I'm looking at the
Have to
stats
get
right
an
now.
argument with Nash,
Yo,
man.
Dart, I'm looking at the stats right now. This guy named Steve Nash is averaging no more than 8 assists a game before he gets traded to a superstar team. He played with Dallas, 5.5, 4.9, 7.3, 7.7, 7.3, 8.8. Then he goes over to Phoenix, starts averaging 10, 11 assists. Why is that? Not only did he do that, he starts shooting better percentages. You know why? Because he had more spacing, he had a better team. and he still lost.
He also
That
got the
same
ball
team-
more.
And guess what?
He became the best
same
player
team-
on his team.
Hold on. He had the same usage rate in Dallas that he did in Phoenix. Guess what? The same team that he could not win with in Dallas, Kid won with that same team.
It's not the same
lesser
team.
Dirk.
Jason Terry was
Oh
the
my
only
God.
player that was on that same team. Totally different roster. It's not even close.
So Dirk
All right.
wasn't better
All right.
before in the NBA in the MVP years than he was after.
He was a more complete player in 2011. Absolutely.
Nash played with a better.
All right.
Dirk was playoff
And then
built in
Dirk's-
2011.
Bro, your argument's done. Your man lost with the
No.
team that Nash. Your man lost, and Kid won with the same
It
same
wasn't
guy.
the same team.
It's the same guy.
Steve Nash on the team is not good enough to beat the
And
Spurs
Dirk,
when Tony
wait,
Parker
you guys
was on
earlier
the
just said Dirk was known for choking in those years. Now all of a sudden
Exactly.
he was amazing in 06. It's like
That
you guys
goes to
talk
Steve
out of both
Nash.
sides of your mouth.
No,
All right.
that goes to Steve
So
Nash.
Dirk was a choker when
Hey.
he was with Nash, but he was way
I've-
better when he
I've
was
let-
with Kid. Thank you.
I've let this go on for far too long, I feel. In a way, I'm happy I did it, but we have to move on.
Oh my god.
And I believe that the debate will be an amazing debate. So check it out in the future.
Bro, don't do it, dog.
Oh, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it.
Yo, Robin. You know what that's like? Robin. That's like you got your girl, and you have your girl, and you're trying to get it done.
Y'all
and
are flustered, baby.
You're trying to make boys, and you can't make the boys.
A
the
week of
next man just
preparation,
comes
it's
through,
over.
and then
A week
bam,
of preparation,
gives your girl
it's
a boy.
done.
That's
It's
what happened,
done.
bro. He couldn't
There's
get
no
it
prep,
done,
Nick.
bro.
There's no prep, Nick. This is what I
There's no
watch.
prep.
I watch this stuff, man. It's
I
what's
watched
in the
it too.
mind. That's what it is, man.
I'm gonna get
I want in.
it formulated. It's gonna be over.
All
Yo,
right.
2 against 1. 2 against 1. I want in.
That's fine. I'll take 2 on 1.
That's why Jason Richardson took Nash's girl. Because he couldn't get it done, bro.
I get double the street cred when I beat both of y'all.
Dang. All right.
Dart, do something.
The next
Dart.
trivia question is, who is the only player from 2000 to 2015 to win an assist per game record for a season, for one season? Who's the only player for one season from 2000 to 2015 to win an assist per game title in those 15 years? I had asked the question before. There have been 5 people. Who is the only person who have only won one time?
Oh, he only won the assist leader one time. Oh, that's what you're asking.
Yes.
Okay.
If you're in the comments, please answer this question. I believe Rex will be starting first, which I believe is on his weak side of knowledge, although he's very knowledgeable.
I haven't watched basketball in that entire length of time. Watch NBA. Haven't watched NBA. Tony Parker.
All right.
That's a good
Before
one.
the next question, I just want to go through the comments. Beer Zamonler says, good question. Who was the GOAT before MJ? What was the general opinion? I'm not from the U.S. That's why I'm asking. Michael says, Bill Russell, 11-1 was the GOAT before Stern took over the NBA. Beer Zamonler says, Rex must answer last. He is a walking encyclopedia. Beer Zamonler says, Michael, thanks for the answer. Michael says, D. Wade. Michael says, Steve Nash, before he joined the Suns, the record was 29-53.
Boom! Come on, dude. That's got to mean something after all that shit y'all said.
He
Didn't
wasn't
even
the
win
only one
30
added to that
games.
team,
Didn't even
man.
win 30
Stop the
games.
nonsense, guys. It wasn't just Steve Nash.
Oh my God.
No, he took over Marbury. I'll give him that because I saw Marbury play for that squad, and when Nash knew how to work those guys better than Marbury did.
Beer gives a smiley face. Michael says, if Mavs kept Nash, they would have won 3 rings. Beer says professional. I believe that's what he's saying. Barbershop debate.
Yeah,
I
maybe.
believe this was the order. I might have jacked this up, but I think this was
Yeah, and the
order.
Spurs hip check ruined the Suns going to a finals.
Yep, and then the Spurs hip check ruined the 2007 Suns. That's what Michael said. So Rex had said he had answered Tony Parker. for the only person who have won 1 assist per game title from 2000-2015. I believe this is the order. No, it's not. This is the general order. But yeah. Anyway, I guess Rex went first. So Robin, you go next. Who was the only player that had won the assist per game title from 2000-2015? Only once.
I would say James Harden.
Damn, that's a good one too. Fuck. I was actually gonna go Rondo. He won 4? God damn.
Judge.
James Harden.
Yeah, Harden feels right. Parker was a good one too.
I think I'm wrong.
Parker's a good guess too, though.
Parker, no.
We all miss it.
If you're in the comments, please give your opinion on who you think won.
LeBron was after that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going with Harden. If it's not Harden, I would have went Deron Williams. He
Well,
always
I'm
had more
trying
than
to
Chris
think,
Paul.
was
Dan
Harden
Williams,
2015 or was it after? Was he like 2016?
Who?
LeBron won the bubble.
No, Harden.
Oh, Harden. Yeah, it's a good
Was
question.
he
I remember.
2015? Before that?
You might be right.
Because he said 2000 to 2015. I think Harden might have been like 2016, wasn't it?
Yeah, you might be right. 2017. Hit us, Dart. Hit us.
This is hard when you
Damn, I
don't
see who
watch
it is.
basketball.
Is it
Damn, I
Deron,
never
is
would've
it
got
Deron
that.
Williams?
The
Is it Deron
answer is
Williams?
somebody that Judge mentioned early on. It is Andre Miller.
Crazy.
Andre Miller's the only person from 2000 to 2015 who did not win the assist per game title multiple times. Andre Miller.
One
He was on
time.
Cleveland at the time. He was on the Sixers.
Okay.
What was it,
So we
10.7?
mentioned
10.7?
10.9. 10.89.
we've mentioned Andre Miller and we've mentioned Kevin Johnson, but we haven't mentioned the guy that both of them backed up, Mark Price.
Oh, my dude. But
They
he's an
both started
offensive
on the
guy.
bench behind Mark Price and got traded to other teams. Well, Miller wasn't traded. I think he just was young at the end of Price got traded, I think.
He's better than Steve Nash.
Actually, no,
He
there's
is.
a lot of NBA. They
Mark
did
Price
a,
better than Steve.
they
Nash.
asked
Come
a lot
on,
of
bro.
Mark
NBA
Price is
insiders.
cold.
Come on.
They
dude.
asked a lot of
Price is
NBA
cold.
like team management and coaches and all about what past player would
Lord help
really
me.
dominate.
I
In
would love to
today's
hear you
game,
debate.
And so
Mark
many
Price
said
versus
Mark
Steve Nash.
Price.
No, yeah, exactly. Come on, bro. Mark Price was nice, but no
Mark
way.
Price is
I would
bad,
love to
man.
hear that one.
Mark Price is bad. Wasn't he 50, 40, 90? He's cold, man.
He was a great
Yeah.
free throw shooter.
He's a cold guy, man.
Back to back.
Super good.
Yeah. He won 3-point contests too, I believe, back to back years in
Yeah.
93 and 94, I think.
Yeah.
At one point, he had at one point, he had the record for most points in a round. He didn't win the competition that year, but he had, in the early years of the shootout, he had the record for most points in a round until Craig Hodges just hit 19 in a row.
Yeah, Mark Price made the 50, 40, 90 club once. Nash made it, let me count here, 4 times.
4 times.
Four.
All right.
But yeah, there's a lot of NBA management and coaches and all that said that of all the past players from past eras, if they played in today's game, that Mark Price, he would be like Steph Curry. That he was like that kind of player if he was allowed to just shoot it the way they do now.
Yeah. He had to go against Michael Jordan, you know what I mean? It's not like, it's not like certain people.
I think Judge is trying to steal my debate, man.
Oh, man.
Because that was an easy picking. I just saw like a win. I'm like, that's a win, bro.
You want to do it? You want to debate Judge?
On
Bro,
Mark Price?
No, you're gonna do yours, and I'll respect that.
Okay.
Let me go over the rankings so far. OG has 2, and And we're going to have one more trivia question here, unless it's a, well, we have to figure out who's going to win. There is no draws. There's only winners here. But OG has 2. Robin has 1. Nick, you have 0.
This is where I make my move.
Yep. Rex has 2 and Judge has 2. And I'm going to go into my top 5 people just to give a reminder to everybody. I did it by era. Kuzi, I believe, is the originator of the very flashy pass. And then I went Maravich. I picked Bird over Magic, although I think Magic was, and I think it's backed up by numbers in totality, and I gave him the credit as the greatest outlet bounce passer, or I believe Rex said the hook pass. And I never really analyzed it that much. I really didn't see if he put a lot of spin on it. But it's just it's like punching the pass down the court, and it seemed like, to me, just watching it, it seems like he's probably the best ever do the full court bounce pass of all time.
Have you seen? There's a video about Magic passing where it's like an instructional video for kids, but it also has a lot of highlights. It's on YouTube if you can find it. It has the perfect angle of some of those passes that they always show in his highlight reels from the baseline, and you can see the spin, and you can see him throwing it like almost at the stanchion. It hits and then shoots right up into James Worthy's hands, cutting in at a 45-degree angle for the dunk. Yeah. You can see the spin. It's awesome.
I like to do it playing pickup. Obviously, I don't make any money playing pickup basketball, but I love doing spin bounce passes in pickup basketball games.
Spin bounce passes.
Yeah, it's fun to.
You're disrespectful. You're disrespecting Magic Johnson, the greatest outlet bounce pass. It's like when Kobe and LeBron was talking about LeBron. He goes, "Oh yeah, this guy's got the craziest one-legged, 1-foot takeoff trampoline." I'm like, "Oh my gosh." Like, you don't like this guy. You don't like Magic Johnson, bro. You're a Bird guy.
No. Magic Johnson is great. I'm not. He's a better overall passer than Bird, but I took it as all these guys that I'm listing are flashy passers. So I think that Bird was a better flashy passer than Johnson, although Johnson was great. Like, if you say Johnson was better, that's fine. It's not. I don't think that's a crazy take. Yeah.
There's no pass Bird did. There's no pass Bird did that I can't do. But honestly, I see Magic Johnson's passes, and I'm like, I don't know how he did that. God. I don't even know when he passed the ball. Sometimes I'm like, how did you make that pass as a human being?
A stat I want to see. A stat I want to see mainly as it relates to Bird is maybe you could use like PER versus usage percentage, but I feel like Bird did the most or had the most like production with the ball being in his hands the least amount of time. I just feel like it was either in his hands, he did something with it, passed it, shot it, whatever. That was just the way they did it back then, but I would love to somehow get a stat on that. I don't know how you would do that though.
He had those great touch passes to McHale.
Yeah, I just feel like he was quick with it, and he made the right decision, obviously, most of the time.
He had slow feet, but quick hands and a quick mind.
Yeah, he had great hands, that's for sure.
I think it was mentioned. I think it was mentioned briefly before. I think it's semantics. I mean, he was largely, in a way, like a point guard in himself. I mean, it's, you know what I mean? Like, you can, hyper-analyze it, but he had the ball in his hands a lot. And I guess to your point, he might not be dribbling it up that much. He would get the ball a lot in the half court and then do something with it versus bring it up, which I guess you can, splice hairs that way. But he had the ball a lot. I mean, I think he averaged like 8 assists per game or 7 assists per game for his career. It's not like he didn't have the ball.
Right.
He's a point forward, yeah. I tell people he's a better passer than LeBron. People get caught up with LeBron too much. I'm like, you can't pass that.
I think so too.
Easily.
I believe Bird averaged more rebounds than Patrick Ewing too for his career.
Yeah, I think he averaged like almost 11. If I'm
He's
not
a better
mistaken.
rebounder than LeBron James
It's
too.
10. It's 10. He averaged 10, right?
I think it's
Yeah.
10 plus.
LeBron
Yeah.
James. He's just better than LeBron James, guys. Larry Bird's better than LeBron James. Hot take number 2.
In my
Larry Bird's better than
in my
LeBron James.
opinion,
No, that's not a
in my
hot
opinion,
take.
I
That's
think
not a
so
hot
I don't
too.
take.
think
That's
that's a hot
facts.
take at all. I
That's
think
not
Bird is better than LeBron, but Bird couldn't stay healthy.
Yeah, that's facts.
3
Bird
straight
is higher than
MVPs
LeBron.
is just
Well, not just 3 straight MVPs. During the 80s, from 79-80 to 88-89, Larry Bird got 2/3 of all MVP votes made during the decade.
That's crazy.
That's
yeah.
crazy.
Monster.
Yo, guys, I gotta log off, man. I gotta get going, man. I got some things going on, man.
yeah, it's
This
about
live
that
stream
Oh,
time.
has-
shoot. So
Yo, we have
I gotta
gone
go pick
down
up my
some
wife from
big
work.
tangents.
Let's hurry up and finish it.
This has been
So
great,
what's the
man.
score?
All right.
So who won trivia?
We'll just finish it off with trivia. All right. Who is the only player that has won 2 skills challenges with one of them being undisputed? And we'll start.
Didn't you just do that one?
Excuse me. One of them being disputed, not undisputed.
So a third was disputed?
There was somebody who's won twice, but one of them won with somebody else.
So it has to be Wade or Nash, right? It's a 50-50.
Yeah.
All right, well, we've talked way too much about Nash, so I'll say Wade.
I'll say Nash, baby.
No. Okay, it's somebody other than Wade and Nash.
Oh, okay.
Because they both won undisputed.
Well, Rex
Somebody
mentioned
won
Karl Anthony
twice
Towns
disputed.
earlier.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'll go back to my Karl Anthony Towns. Maybe that's why I know his name, was because there was some sort of dispute with it.
I'll take Cat.
Because like I said, I've never even seen the skills competition. I don't even know exactly what it is.
It's a bonus.
Robin, what did you say?
I'm gonna say John Wall.
That's a good one.
All right, none of you are right. It was Damian Lillard.
Oh, I was thinking him too, man. I was thinking him.
Outside of Russell Westbrook, who is the next leading player for most assists in a single game, that's an active player. And I know he actually plays still.
I guess Harden, right? Sorry, I didn't mean to go out of turn.
All right, Harden. That's a answer. Rex, who do you say?
Oh, I said Harden the first time and was wrong, so I'll say Harden again.
All right, Judge, who do you say?
Beard.
All right, the Beard. Who do you say, Robin?
Oh man, I'm gonna go with damn, I had a name in my mind and it just left my head, man. I'm gonna go with Drew Holiday.
Not Jeremy Lin?
The answer is Chris Paul with 21 assists in one single game.
Why did I say Chris Paul?
That's what I was saying the first time. I was like, it's one or two guys. It's one or two guys, and it was neither. Those are my 2 guys, Harden and Paul.
No, all the trivia questions have to do with the era that I absolutely do not watch and do not know.
Who won the 2022 assist per game title?
You see?
We'll start with Rex.
Is it my turn?
We'll start with Rex.
Who won the championship that year?
I believe that was the Bucks year.
Well, it was no one on the Bucks.
Oh, the Warriors. It was the Warriors. The year before.
Yeah, it was no one on the Warriors.
So last year?
No, 2022, not 2023.
It wasn't Nick Van Exel.
James Harden.
No. He was on Philly.
I'm gonna say Trae Young.
Bradley Beal. I don't know. I have no clue. I haven't watched a single NBA game since 2014. I have no clue.
Was it Luka? I'll go Luka. I don't think it's Luka though. Maybe Jokic.
All right. None of you were right. So who is the third most winner of assist per game titles over a career? So John Stockton was number 1, as said before.
Kuzi was number 2.
Kuzi was number 2. So who's number 3?
What's the question? I never heard you. What's the question?
There's 3 players, I think, actually.
No.
What was the question?
There's only
No.
one.
There's 3
No,
tied
what-
for 4th.
There's 3
No,
guys
what's the
for fourth,
question?
only 1 for 3rd. Who won the 3rd most assists per game titles ever?
The Big O, yeah.
Kevin Johnson.
Rex says the Big O.
Won 6.
Who do you say? Nick?
Big O, too.
The Big O. Who do you say, Judge?
It's really between them.
Oscar Robertson.
All right.
You guys
The
are in a
answer
two-way
is-
tie.
The answer is Oscar Robertson. So we're going to go into I know you got to go, Robin. So we'll just keep going to the rapid fire. But yeah, thank you for coming on. I know you said you got to go. So if you got to go, you got to go. And I appreciate you coming on, and let's make that debate happen. Steve Nash
Let's do it,
versus
man.
Jason
Yo,
Kidd.
Yeah, we'll do
Another
it.
good live stream with you guys, man. Yo,
Absolutely.
Rex, Nick, Judge, Dart, you guys be good, man. I'll catch you on the next one, man.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I'm probably going to pop out, too, since it's just these 2 guys.
All right. It was fun, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Oh, fun as always.
Absolutely.
See you all on the next one.
Later, bro.